Welcome everyone to Intelligent Voices Israelites. I'm your brother Yisrael Yashambaya. Thank you for tuning in to this segment that we are basically going to be discussing of part two of Edomites. But now we're talking about the biological son of Jacob, sibling, which is Esau. And before the third generation, before the coming together of the Israel and Judas together. So this will be talking about that and giving us a little enlightenment of the so-called today in all of the globe around every continent. So we're going to begin with a prayer. Hope everyone is doing well today for your weekend, your Sabbath, and also celebrating still the Feast of Booths. And hoping all has been well with everyone. So let's go into prayer. Almighty Father, my Father, your Son Israel Yashambaya, I come before you with our whole hearts, with my brothers and my sisters who are part of IVI. We're so thankful, Father, for the wisdom that you have shared through the body of this body and given unto the understanding of the other bodies of brothers and sisters around the globe. To spread your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding, your logic, and your precepts before the world. In Yeshua's name, we give you thanks forever and ever. Amen, amen, amen. Shalom to my brothers and sisters. Thank you so much. So we talked about previously in another video about the modern day Edomites, which, as we have discussed in many publications and segments here on IVI Intelligent Voices, Israelites, we have been allowed to discuss the modern day Judah and Israel as coming back as a whole nation under the tribe of Judah. But before this coming together happened, we must explore the real biological wisdom and history of the biological son of Isaac, who was Esau. And as we know, there was two sons, Jacob and Esau, two nations that struggled in the womb. And I know many of you have heard that story and maybe have gotten it in many different pieces and scenarios by different teachers. But here at IVI, we like to actually make sure everything is together. So if you have caught the previous video that we did with the modern Esau understanding in that archive, this will catch you up here in part two, which is now talking about the biological. And we will be using logic and precept upon this teaching as well. We might also even go into the dictionary, the Merriam-Webster dictionary for our keywords to look them up as we see them in our Bible or in our text manifold of scripture. And then some of you might even learn about a lot of new people that will be discussed in this segment, this broadcast, that will allow you more wisdom of research. And research is always good because my father always says, those who are in search of wisdom shall find it. So allow IVI, as we all are, Intelligent Voices Israelites, to carry on this wisdom beyond just here. So that is why the purpose have been set up for this foundation for all of us, not only just you, but me as well in my household. So every time we come together, it's such a graceful thing and blessing because we're standing right before us is the Father and the Son and the Spirit, as we all know we are possessed by. So as we know, Edom or Edomites You might spell it Edomites, everyone. And the wisdom history here that we will start out with, before I start, I have my wife, Yadra Mel Makayat. Give me some water here, please. And when we see this wisdom here, we're going to first start out with the kings. And these kings are Edomites. And as I said, many spell that Edomites. And also make sure, everyone, that you take note of each one of these kings, because, like I say, and we want you to further the research, because this will help you understand as you might read in Maccabees 1 and 2, also Obadiah. It's going to take you on that scavenger hunt of righteousness, because now here it is, what you are finding, the true puzzle pieces that brings together the predicate of your story of understanding the Bible in its Hebrew form. So today I'll be reading out of the physical book with you all, and I might at times have to switch over other books, but don't get confused if your book might say something totally different, because here it is, the key element of this whole thing is basically listening and also writing down what you hear at IVI, Intelligent Voices Israelites, to give you this fruitful understanding. So we're going to start with the kings of Edomites, because here it is, they're going to come up probably later on in this segment, this broadcast, as you basically have now will be able to take notes ahead of time. Now, the first king was King Bela, and that's spelled Bela. King Bela. Second king was King Jobab, Jobab, Jobab. And then the third king was Husham. So Husham. Okay. And that was the third king. Fourth king was King Hadad. Now remember, in the stories, as you read with Saul, he defeated the Medians in Moab. Okay. King Hadad is the fourth king of Edom. The fifth king was Samlah, Samlah, Samlah. And the sixth king was King Rehoboth, and that is spelled Rehoboth, Rehoboth. And then the seventh king was King Baal, or Baal. Many preachers say Baal, some say Baal. So it's Baal, and then you see he has a hyphenated name, Hanan, or Hanan, Baal-hanan. So we will just be keeping the name Baal, because then the lingered on half name will be actually like a so-called. So I don't like using that. So my father doesn't allow any of those partial nicknames or any names like that. So we'll say King Baal is the seventh. So now, as you have written down, everyone, these were the kings that actually, in the reign of the biological son Esau, coming out of his descendants at this time. And most of this is before Israel even had a king, as we will actually get into the logic aspect, crossing over to the precept, and then allowing you to see the connection of this whole understanding of Edom's wisdom and history being revealed to you for this segment. So now, here's some logic. Now, these were the kings who reigned in the land of Edom. And this is before any kings, as I just stated, reigned over Israel's seed, which of Jacob, which we know King Bela reigned in Edom. And then he built a city called Dinhabah, Dinhabah, Dinhabah. So then we're going to see this actually in some of your Bibles. If some of your Bibles don't, then you will hear this from us in our IVI. So let's turn everyone blissfully onto Genesis. And we want to start at Genesis chapter 36. And my wife, Yisrael, Yamaika, send out her blessings and love to the sister and around the world as well. Shalom. So now when we get to chapter 36 of Genesis, everybody, if you have a highlighter, a marker such as these come very useful so you can mark your books, and I encourage it. So whatever colors you might like, then you can use for your Bible. Or if you have the digital Bible in your phones, make sure that you can actually get them highlighted verses, so therefore they'll be quick to be pulled up later whenever you're having a conversation with friends or family or whoever you might be ministering this word to of understanding. So let's get into verse 31 to 32. It clearly says, "These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, son of Beor, Beor, became king in Edom. The name of his city was Dinabah." Now, as we are seeing that is clearly what you can see accurate, what I had stated earlier when we opened up this whole study. And then we also see a king, as you go farther, you will see Bela died and Jobab, son of Zerah, from Basra, succeeded him as king. So we see that, right? Now, as we see these kings, this will allow you to see the notation of why you took the 7 kings down, because as I have mentioned, some of these names will come up in some of your Bibles, mostly. But with the things that doesn't, then you're getting basically the outpour here at IVI, Intelligent Voices Israelites, for your correct understanding for your book of what is truly there. So now by logic, research history allow us to review the Torah books. And as some of you might know, Jasker is in the book 61, if you have that book, 8 through 9. But for you or those who don't have that book, where you also can find also this information where we're finna go, is must have to return to Joshua. And when we turn to Joshua, we will see Joshua, which is the same imprinting of 61 chapter. So go to Joshua. And when you get to Joshua, you want chapter 10. Look at verse 12 and 13. So clearly here in verse 12, everyone, chapter 10 of Joshua, it was then when the Almighty delivered up the Ammonites to the Israelites that Joshua prayed to the Almighty and said in the presence of the Almighty, "Sun," meaning the physical sun, "stand still. Moon, in the valley." The sun stood still, the moon stayed, while the nations took vengeance on its foes. This is recorded in the book of Jasher. The sun halted halfway across the heavens. Not for an entire day did it pass on. Didn't pass on. So now as we see this is referring to basically the thing that was done in Jasher that also happened. Basically, here it is, as we know that this king Jasher And as the kings we finna also name, also put a heavy burden on a lot of the Israelites. Wouldn't let them pass, wouldn't let them do a lot of things. And we discussed that in the other study, which is still in the archives of our videos. So here it is. We're now looking at the biological history of Esau, okay, and the descendants that came out of that generation of Esau. And now we're seeing why Moses had such a hard time passing once he had freed the Israelites from Egypt. And we know they had a hard time in that land among the Amorites and Moabites and many other nations that Yah, our Father, had to put on them to remove them out of the land in order for Israel to inhabit it. But for some of the lands they didn't take over, they end up have to live there. But here it is, they were told not to adopt the ways of the people that once were there, or some are still lingering around. So now that's why we went there. And it allowed us to see and find out not only was this king a nemesis to Moses, as I just stated, drawing the curse as his whole life, during the courses of his whole life, who was a 15-year-old king, Yasher, and among the servants, agonists, there was many like Balaam, the son of Bor, was his name, and the youth was very wise and understood the art of witchcraft. Okay. Said unto Balaam, conjure for us, I pray thee, with the witchcraft, that we may know who will prevail in this battle to which we are now proceeding. Now remember, in the first video, talking about modern Edomites, now we're talking about the biological Edomite before the third generation. We're seeing that Balaam, as we wrote down, Baal, and see that many of these people were indulging in different religions that was completely outside of Israel. And this is why Esau was talked about so bad. I love Jacob, but I hated Esau. Because here it is, we remember that he clearly went into the ways of the wicked, Canaanite women and many other things that they indulged, my brothers and sisters. And therefore they conjured up witches to tell them what will happen, as we remember with Samuel and Saul. So now, and Nathaniel, but now here it is, we're seeing that Balaam is also a part of this kingship, who basically, as we read in Joshua, did the same thing as basically not under witchcraft, but he did it under Father Yah power, which it is stop the sun and the moon from moving on. Now, as we look at who is Bor, we see that this father is both Bela and Balaam. And here's logic. We know him and his sons were known personally by the king of Dinaba of Africa, who ruled over millions. And one thing you must know for certain is that he is a man who is familiar with the occult, right? And his practices, and who has raised worldly wise sons who have some of the same understanding. Now, remember the Magi's that we talked about in their last study of Herod, who needed to know the stars or when the almighty son would be born and where would he be? So now here it is. This is including these men and their lineage, what we're going to be talking and discussing here and showing that in this lesson, this is where Edom had got the most curse from before the third generation came. We also know that Bor's son Bela died only 30 years after he began to reign over Esau's seed. You might be saying to yourselves right now, why Esau's seeds will even choose a man with such a well-known occultic father to rule over them, So was Bor Shyman? Some might say, was he a Shyman or a set-apart man who was both occultic, known and respected by all the mass of Africa? We know Balaam was around 190 years old when he is finally killed by the Israelites after he used Median women of the Ishmaelites to turn the hearts of Israel to worship and serve Baal, or Baal, however you want to call it, Baal Por, instead of the Almighty Yahuwah, the Elohim, so of the whole world, the Creator. So let us see what happens with Israelites and what they also did and brought the curse upon themselves, and how they allowed these blessings to be removed from them. All right. So the Israelites were joined to Baal Por, and the anger of Yahuwah, my father, your father, was aroused against the Israels or Israelites. Then Yahweh said to Moses, take all of the leaders of the people and hang the offenders before Yahweh, this is logic, out in the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahuwah's judgment may turn, here it is, away from Israel. So Moses said to the judges of Israel, every one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal Por. Now we see this action carried out in the book of Numbers. When you get to Numbers 25, look at verse 3 and 5. It clearly says here, Israel thereby attached itself to the Baal of Por in the Almighty One's anger, here it is, of judgment, flared up against Israel. See that? Verse 4, the Almighty One said to Moses, gather all the leaders of the people and publicly execute them before the Almighty, that my blazing wrath of judgment of the Almighty may turn away from righteous Israel. See that? And it says from Israel. So now in verse 5, so Moses told the Israelite judges, each of you kill those of his men who have attached themselves to Baal of Por. Now understand why we're mentioning this, because we just wrote down all the kings, right? And we seen that clearly the seventh king was Baal. And then we have seen the attachment to this king by other kings who came before these kings. But we also have attached Esau to also his descendants of witchcraft. See that? Which came by now different types of religion, followed later on. So now you can understand when you do watch that first video, the modern time Esau, mixed tribe coming out of even European seed because of our ancestors who were in the slaves, turned into slaves. We are the offsprings that came out of those offsprings, right? So that was what we did in that video. But now you're understanding the other half of the coin of Esau before that half that we just released, to see now the biological Esau and why Yah, our father, my father, hated the ways and the deeds of Esau. And this is why we had to show you the modern day Esau. So therefore, people don't get it confused about the two times of the size of Esau's descendants, okay? Because now here it is in the biological form of this Esau. You see in witchcraft, demonic presence were before them, which therefore they worship all kinds of statues, idolatries, which were completely wicked. And they actually allowed these things to actually talk to them, which through sorcery. So as we have just shown. So now this is clearly allowing us to see why Moses had a hard time when they came out of Egypt crossing, because here it is, at certain points, they couldn't cross certain areas because of the judges who later became judges. But before that, they were basically Esau, who were out of Jacob, his brother. And here it is, they refused the Israelites at all costs. And here it is, they were complete nemesis. Now back to logic. Also, the woman that caused the seed of Israel to follow the counsel of Balaam to trespass against Yahuwah in the incident of Peor. And then there was a plague among the congregation, as we will read also in Numbers chapter 31. Because see, what I just described a little ahead of time is this is why Esau was hated in the beginning, okay? For his wickedness and his descendants' wickedness, all the way down to the third generation before the changes happen. So you're actually in the time machine with me today, brothers and sisters, traveling back into the history of the biological son, Esau, and his descendants. Now, when we look here in chapter 31, verse 16 of Numbers, these are the very ones who on Balaam advice were behind the Israelites. Here it is it right in the book? They were behind the Israelites' unfaithfulness to the Almighty Yahweh in the affair at their location of Peor. So that plague struck the Almighty ones of Israelites' community. See that? So mark that. See, I tell you all that nothing happens without the influence of the devil or the presence of the Judas spirit. That therefore is tied to the flesh. That is in complete denial of the truth. Do not want to see you having the truth. Don't want you knowing the truth. And therefore don't want you calling on the truth. So now as we see this in Numbers, everybody, it is clear that what is being stated here at IVI is in the Bible. They had help being forced to be turned against the Almighty Father Yahuwah Yahweh. So now here it is, we're seeing that while we wrote down the kings of Esau, all of them, and all of them were wicked, and all of them followed their own selfishness and advice, and only took very little from what was righteous. Now, looking back at logic, now by wisdom and knowledge, we understand that Baal or Baal-Peor, it really does not matter which name we use. What does matter is that the Israel Hebrews was worshiping and serving someone besides Yahuwah then, right? I think the Hebrew Israelites, brothers and sisters, of our ancestors, served Lord Peor. Lord Peor. And this is why we don't use the word Lord, because it goes and it comes from this stem of a root, back of Esau. So much like so many today worship and serve yet another man, which is like Jesus, Lord, God, Muhammad, Buddha. And here it is, many of the Christians today, they also serve who is called Lord Jesus. Okay. So now you can see Lord Peor, Baal-Peor, and then here it is, they serve Lord Jesus or Leesus or Eases, because in the 1611 King James, that's what you will find there, brothers and sisters. So now here it is, Lord Leesus. So know that by the might of a stroke to some to hear that Jesus is a created name of demon worship. Oh, yes. Made by Roman Catholic Church. This is logic. But let's see what Yahweh says on the topic, my brothers and sisters, as proof to the correct of his righteous understanding, which would give us, because here it is, we must understand is that this is what the Most High said to his servants in the later days. He stated, this is my logic. You are my witnesses, says Yahuwah, and my servants whom I have chosen, that you may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was and is no other form, nor shall there be after me one created. I am Yahweh, and besides me there is no other saviors. So now it is clear why people are in so much trouble today, right? Because of the serving of different religions, right? And when you serve different religions, you are falling into the category of Esau. So today, modern day Esau is not just a white man. He's a brown man. He's a black man. He's any other man that's against the Bible of without religionist facts, but with the scriptural facts, to know that here it is, what you're seeing in your book today is from my father, your father, Israel. Here it is, Yahuwah, Yahweh. Because here it is, Jacob is being returned unto Judah. And here it is, when we go to the book of Isaiah, this is bagging up the fact of receipt. I want to go to Isaiah 43. And when we get to Isaiah 43, everybody, I want you to pay attention to 10 through 13. Now, as it reads here, 10 through 13, you are my witnesses, my servants whom I have chosen. Hope y'all are all taking note. To know and believe in me and understand that I am he. Before me, no God was formed, or no deity was formed. And after me, there shall be none. I am the Almighty One, Yahweh. There is no Savior but me. Verse 12, it is I who declared, who saved, who announced, not some strange God among you. You are my witnesses. I am Yahuwah. Yes, from eternity I am he. There is none who can deliver from my hand. I act, and who can counsel my judgments. You see this? So now here it is. This is clearly why you have just found out that Esau worshiped witchcraft, the biological son, and his descendants, and those descendants after those descendants, down to the third generation. Because now you're getting a sneak peek of now why modern Esau is in the world. And here it is, it's not just Caucasian, Moabite, but here it is anyone that therefore is in any other religions as well, except the returning back to Israel or Judah, which is being called. Because here it is, we're living in now in the last seconds of the days of a generation, right? Because we can see the wars, we can see the rumors of wars, we can see the deceiving, right? And we can see many other things happening right before your eyes. And this is all because America, the fallen daughter, have witchcraft all throughout her. And that means here it is, just as Revelations has stated, she's getting drunk on the sins of the innocent, the chosen ones. They're hanging you and many of your brothers and sisters around you out to dry in the death of witchcraft. When you look at the Statue of Liberty, we see the founding imprint on the bottom base of it, right? And we see that therefore that is a different God or different deity, right? And we understood that therefore she used to have a cup, then they put a torch in her hand, right? She sits out on many waters. But now we also see other nations as well. Russia, China. You go visit these places, they have monuments all over the place with animals. When Yah said in Genesis, you should not worship animals, stars, or anything above or on the earth or in the seas, right? Or you breaking the commandments of thee. So now my anger will what? Flare up in judgment upon all people who are basically in the old Esau ways of witchcraft. See that? So now back to logic. So we must all remember the penalty for worshiping and serving any other so-called Elohim besides Yahuwah, which will be death. And that is exactly what all Hebrew Israelites who join themselves with Lord Baal or witchcraft or poor will get. So that's why Moses said to the Israelite judges, kill everyone who has joined to that occult, right? Worshiping King Baal. See that? King Baal. Because we understand these facts of the nature of Canaan, right? Was at the time only in the land of the promise of Shur. So all of them had to be put to death in order for the Israelites to cross into the land, right? And was in their possession, right? Are the Edomites, which the generation today who are lost sheep and have no understanding of the hope as we are in America being called blacks and Negroes today, or African American. As we see is foretold before our generation even begun, brothers and sisters. Here in the book of Luke, let's turn to the book of Luke. And when you get to the book of Luke, chapter 16, look at verse 25. Because now you're understanding why we did the first video on Edom, modern day Edom. And now this will catch you up to understanding what Esau and why Esau was in so much judgment with my father, Yahuwah. And here it is. You would now be able to see this and teach this and show this. So that way, every white person without melon is not crucified literally outwardly. But here it is, only through the ways of their actions. Because here it is, you'll know that they're refusers. Because if they keep the Lord Jesus, God, or any other deity name, then therefore you're knowing why Yah has so much judgment on that particular person or individual or crowd or assembly, right? Now here in 16:21 of Luke, Abraham replied, my children, watch this, remember that you received what was good during your lifetime, while Lazarus likewise received what was bad. See that? But now he is comforted here, whereas you are tormented. See that? People today, brothers and sisters, so-called blacks, so-called African Americans, so-called Negroes, those who are without the truth are going through a great depression, right? Every day of their lives. Many of them are basically being thrown into jail or thrown into a casket. So now here it is. We're seeing the death is upon those who are Edomites. And here it is. It has nothing to do with the skin, but has everything to do with the person's spirit. Because here it is. The truth is being released into the world, my brothers and sisters. It is giving you the power, authority to have understanding. By your heart being kind and mercy for forgiveness, by the truth of the pages of what you read, right? And what you see with your own eyes, and therefore illustrate it back to your children, your wives, or your husbands, friends, co-workers, neighbors. Because now we're seeing why we talked about modern day Edomites earlier in our video, and now coming and returning back to the biological son of Edom, who were Esau descendants, leading up to Moses' transition out of Egypt with Israelites and Egyptians, going into a land of milk and honey. But before they can even possess it, as we talked about, they had to first get rid of or wait for a passing time of Esau descendants to die, to be removed. And so was it among the Levitical judges who were with Moses, as we know Aaron and his sons became. And here it is with the law of covenant for the people of Israel, right? So now this is going to allow us to see why we don't use the word Lord anywhere in our teaching, or God anywhere in our teachings, or Jesus, which is in the 1611 King James, you will see Leases, Lord Leases, which comes from or stem from, as your brother just showed you, and my father as well, as I'm obedient to the Spirit that teaches us both. It allows you to see exactly that today, as we just seen. Lord, God, Jesus, which they changed from Legius to J, Jesus. And here it is, we are seeing that this came about through witchcraft. Now, so that Moses said to the Israelite judges, right? And now as we have seen that today, most of the so-called blacks and Negroes, this is my logic, as we see it foretold here in Luke 16:25. And here it is, we understand that we come to understand that Yah, to get our new promise land or spirit now through Yahweh, and to inherit the coming kingdom or the kingdom city. Brothers, sisters, we must understand that all the kings of Edom all happened after the death of Esau. See that? That's why I said his descendants. Because here it is, they learned from the biological son. And here it is, his descendants took from him all the way down to the third generation, which you have to go to our archive video to pick up that teaching for that part, if you haven't already. But now here in the logic, we see all of this is after the death of Esau. And therefore, if he believed along, or no, if he had lived along as Jacob, after the children of Israel have been 17 years in Egypt, as I calculate that they were 210 years in the country, as we have in the archives stated for correction. And now in logic here, as we see, in the country, and spent 40 years afterwards in the wilderness, right? So you got 210 and then 40 years, which would correct their times to, which was 233 years, right? And 7 reigns, and a part of the 8th reign, which coming in from the 7th king into the 8th king, because that's why I had you write down all the way to the 7th king. So 233 years leading into the kingdom reign on the 8th, which was doing Moses and his host of Israelites who marched along the borders of the Edomites, which would have been 33 years for each reign, for each king, or before a king reigned over the children of Israel. See this? So this is why the mathematical calculation has been now recalculated. This simply means, in clear understanding, that before there were or was a monarch established in Israel, it does not implement that a monarch began in Israel immediately after these kings. After, as we understand, Lot's, which actually was with Abraham when they separated, remember that, beholding the value of Jordan to be well watered, before Yahweh destroyed it, Sodom and Gomorrah does not imply by my finds that the city was destroyed immediately, like you see in the movies. And after Lot beheld this sight, as he picked the place because of his water sources, and now we're going to realize why he went into this pagan worshiping society. Let's go to Genesis chapter 13. And when we go to Genesis chapter 13, verse 10, we see right here, Lot looked about and saw how abundantly vast watered the whole Jordan plain was, as far as Zoar, like the Almighty One's own garden, or like Egypt. This was before the Almighty. This was before the Almighty had destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Didn't I just say that? Because here it is. Many people thought it immediately happened. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, where Lot was, among the Edomites. And as you see, they were wicked people. Most of them was homosexuals, lesbians, would sleep with animals, was worshiping statues, were doing so many wickedness, murdering people, okay, and invading people's homes and everything. These were wicked people. So here it is. This is of the biological son, Esau, his descendants, who carried on after he, as we stated, he died and his descendants carried on, right? Now you're seeing in the book for your own eyes. Lot had been there a minute, him and his family. They have been living among these people. So they had become accustomed to the way and the lifestyle of these people, even though they kept themselves as completely separated as possible. Until, as you know, when the angels came, Lot said, don't sleep with them. Here, take my daughters. But now here it is, you know that story, right? And now you understand that story. Now, all of this was eastward of the Jordan River. Okay, keep that in mind, everybody. This was eastward. So now it is clear of Isaac and his blessings to Jacob and also Esau. As we read it now, must go into Genesis 27. Watch this. Genesis chapter 27, verse 4, clearly allow us to see more fact. He says, then prepare for me a dish in the way I like, right? And bring it to me to eat, so that I may bless you before I die. See this? That my spirit may bless you. This is what it would have said in the scrolls, as I read from my logic note. Before I die. It implies that Israelites were expected to have kings over them. See that? As we see in Genesis chapter 35, let's go to Genesis 35. Watch. Because his father blessed him, right? And now we can see the rulership of why Moses then was having such a hard time coming out of Egypt and getting around the borders of Esau. So now here it is in 35, chapter 35 of Genesis. Look at verses 10, everyone, through 15. Yahuwah said to him, your name is Jacob. You will no longer be named Jacob, but Israel will be your name. So he was named Israel. Then Yahuwah said to him, I am the Almighty Yahweh. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation, indeed, an assembly of nations will stem from you. See that? An assembly of nations will stem from you, and kings will issue from your loins. You see that? Now you can see how Esau Here it is, before Israel even had a king, they had a king. And the names, as I had you write down earlier, and now to see that his own father knew that later down the road in descendantship from Esau will become kings who will become head of Judah in the northern parts, okay? But here it is, we have seen clearly as his father continues, earth parent, the verse 12, the land I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give to you and to your descendants after you, I will give this land. Then Yahuwah departed from him. In the place where Yahuwah has spoken with him, Jacob, who therefore became now Israel, set up a sacred pillar, a stone pillar, and within it he made a lamentation and poured out oil. Verse 15, Jacob, who is Israel, named the place where Yahuwah spoke to him Bethel of Yahweh. So here it is, they left that out. Bethel of Yahweh. So that one would have been there. And now here it is, we're seeing that Jacob became Israel. And because of Isaac was expected to die as over the tribes, here's a logic, were moving into the land from the eastward and to the northeast. And as we see, Bor is also the name of Balaam. And he is the ancestor, as we see, the fact in Numbers, we must turn to Numbers 22. Numbers 22, everyone. And now you're seeing another king come into place later on, as we have taken complete names of all 7 kings going into the 8th kings. Okay, so 22, look at verse 5 through 41. This is going to be a read. Clearly it says, everyone, and he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Bor, on the rivers in the land of the Ammonites, to summons him with these words. A people have come out of Egypt. You see that? Talking about who? Moses now. They have covered up the earth and are sitting down opposite me. Now come and curse this people for me. Since they are stronger than I, perhaps I may be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. So the elder of the Moabites, okay, and the elders of the Medians themselves, as experts in divination, as we've seen, witchcraft is in this Esau's nation and descendants, left and went to Balaam, to whom they gave Balak a message. He said to them, stay here over the night, and I will give you whatever answer the Almighty gives me. So the prince of Moabite lodged with Balaam. Then Yahuwah came to Balaam and said, who are these men with you? Balaam answered Yahuwah, Balak, king of Moabites, has sent me the message. This people that has come out of Egypt have covered up the earth. Now come, lay a curse on them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight them and drive them out. But Yahuwah said to Balaam, do not go with them and do not curse this people, for they are blessed. Now you understand, right? Isaac giving out the blessings to Jacob and also Esau. Verse 13, the next morning Balaam arose and told the prince of Balak, Go back to your own country, for the Almighty One has refused to let them go with you. So the prince of Moab went back to Balak with the report. Balaam refused to come with us. Balak yet again, in verse 15, sent prince who were more numerous than more and more distinguished than others. On coming to Balaam, they told him, "This says Balak, please do not refuse to come to me. I will reward you handsomely, very handsomely, and will do anything you ask of me. Come lay a curse on this people for me." But Balaam replied to Balak, the servant, "Even if Balak gave me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, small or great, contrary to the command of the Almighty One Yahweh, my Yah." Verse 19, "But you to stay here overnight, so that I may learn what else the Almighty may say to me." That night Yahuwah came to Balaam and said to him, "If these men have come to summons you, go back with them, yet only on the conditions that you do exactly as I tell you." So that the next morning when Balaam arose, he saddled his donkey and went off with the prince of Moab. But now Yahuwah's anger flared up. See, because he denied what he was supposed to do at him for going. And the angel of the Almighty took up a position on, it is, the road as his adversary. As Balaam was riding along in his donkey, accompanied by two of his servants, the donkey saw the angel of the Almighty One standing in the road, here it is, sword drawn. The donkey turned off the road and went into the field, and Balaam beat the donkey to bring her back on the road. Verse 24, then the angels of the Almighty stood in a narrow lane between vineyards with a stone wall on each side. Then the donkey saw the angel of the Almighty there. She pressed against the wall, and since she squeezed Balaam's leg against the wall, he beat her again. Then the angel of the Almighty One again went ahead and stood next in the passage, so narrow that there was no room to move either to the right or to the left. Verse 27, when the donkey saw the angel of the Almighty Yahweh there, she lay down under Balaam. Balaam's anger flared up, and he beat the donkey with his stick. Verse 28. Then the Almighty opened the mouth of the donkey, and she asked Balaam, "What have I done to you that you beat me this 3 times?" Now remember, this is all in a conscious sense, because now he feels guilty of how much pain he had put on this animal. So now he's having a conscious sense. Verse 29, you have acted so willfully against me, said Balaam to the donkey, that if only had a word at hand, I would kill you. No, a sword at hand, I would have killed you here and now. But the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey on which you have always ridden until now? See this? This is now allowing you to see that the donkey wasn't talking, but this was common and conscious sense. Have I been in the habit of treating you this way before? No, replied. Verse 31, then the Almighty opened Balaam's eyes. Now you see the consciousness, okay? He had opened up his consciousness of his rudeness to this animal, which is wicked, right? So now we're seeing clearly this is the biological son, descendants who came later, who were kings. And now we see clearly so that he saw the angel of the Almighty standing on the road with the sword drawn, and he knelt and bowed down to the ground. Verse 32. But the angel of the Almighty said to him, why have you beaten your donkey this 3 times? I have come as an adversary because this rash, see that? This rash journey of yours is against my will. When the donkey saw me, she turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away from me, you are the one I would have killed, he said. Even though I would have spared her, verse 34, then Balaam said to the angel of the Almighty One, I have sinned, yet I did not know that you took up a position to oppose my journey. See this? Since it has displeased you, I will go back home. Verse 35. But the angel of the Almighty One said to Balaam, go with the men, but you may say only what I tell you. See this? So Balaam went on with the prince of Balak. Verse 36. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at, here it is, Meribah, on the border formed by the Arno at its most distant, or here it is, distant point. And Balak, verse 37, said to Balaam, did I not send an urgent summons to you? Why did you not come to me? Did you think I could not reward you? Verse 38, Balaam answered Balak, while I have come to you after all, but what power have I to say anything? I can speak only what Yahuwah, the Almighty One, puts in my mouth. Verse 39, then Balaam went with Balak, and they came, here it is, to Kishaba. Here Balak sacrificed ox and sheep and sent portions to Balaam and to the princes who were with him. Now in verse 41, the next morning Balak took Balaam up to Bamoth, Bamoth Bel. This is a little small village area on the borders of this area in the northern parts of Africa. And from there he could see some of the people. Now, as we see this clearly, this king wanted Israel to die. They wanted them to die literally. Because in the conscious state, as we are seeing of the biological son of Esau, while many have gotten them confused with keeping the old Esau with modern Esau, is because of the tendencies of the actions of the people. Because now here it is nothing to do with the color anymore, but here it is, has something to do with the actions all today. Because here it is, this stemmed from the old biological son's ways to his descendants. Now understand this logic. As this king wanted to put a curse on the people, that this allows you to understand the occult world of today in America and around the world and around the globe, and on our people and your people, family members, friends. But understand that the generation was blessed who were with Moses. That was the Israelites coming out of Egypt. And Yahweh is allowing you to see, if you are not under his covenant, which will be the protection of love and grace, the devil is out to destroy you. See that? The devil is out to destroy you. And as a nation of people, any nation of people, okay, in the world. Here's a logic. So now by wisdom, we know Danabah, which was the city created by the Edomites of Esau of the earlier periods, is the capital of Bela. is the capital of Bela, B-E-L-A, which is the nickname used for Basra. As we see it right now, the Philistines are now in fight with Israel, Jerusalem, Damascus, Lebanon, Turks, right? So now, which is about 20 miles near the southeast of the Salt Lake, which is in the land of the Temanites. Didn't we do that research just in the old video just a couple days ago of modern day Edomites? And many of you might have to reflect your friends and families to that archive video. And therefore they'd be able to catch up with this new part. So now we're seeing that the Temanites, or Teman, as you might see in most of your books, T-E-M-A-N, means son of Elzapah. Now remember, Job had 3 friends that came to visit him. One of them was Elzapah, right? Bildad, Elzapah, Zoar. So now here it is. You are now walking into the understanding. His town was 5 miles from Petra. Now we know in Revelation, the Israeli Jews and Philistines and many mixed nations will actually run at the time of the collapse of when the world go into decay, full decay, siege, I like to call it. And here it is. That would be a one world government and a one world religion starts. They will run to Petra. And Hadad is the name used among the Ammonites or Armanes. Okay. And that is spelled Aramaeans. And who smited the Median in the field of Moab, as you will see in your research. Now, brothers and sisters, this wisdom found in the books is clearly, we must go to 1 Chronicles. And now when you get to chapter 1, as it is coming clear to find out that Esau brought upon all of this religionist ways, even upon the Arabs, because the Ishmaelites, okay, had a Hagar, her son, and went on, had descendants and on and on. So now you can see when you watch that other modern day Esau, Edomites, now you can lace this now with this biological son Esau, and seeing now the history and the pages come clear with their kings actually stemming from their biological father or ancestor, who was Esau, of Jacob's brother. Okay, so now here it is, 1 Chronicles chapter 1. We have to see this in verse 46. 1 Chronicles chapter 1, 46. And we see Husham died and Hadad succeeded him. Didn't we write down all these kings earlier in this segment? That's why I had you do that, because I said these names will pop up, and for you to further that research on these kings and on the topic. Succeeded him as king. He overthrew the Midianites on the Moabites. Here it is, location or plant. And the name of the city was Avia. So now we are seeing here, we've seen the Danaba city, and now we're seeing a city now that's being formed under this king, Avia. And here it is, it goes on and on there. Now, as the full chapter will enlighten your nature of knowledge on the tribes, in the tribes exchanges, in the non-exchanges, in the curses, it will also enlighten you, and the blessings that they receive. And here it is, it's going to allow you to read more of this history of old Esau, different after the 3rd generation of those descendants. Came a new understanding for Israel. Because here it is, when we go into this, you must look deeper in 1 Chronicles. And that will, what we just read there, will take you 1 through 154. And then you will want to write down Genesis chapter 26 1 through 35. Then you will also want to write down Genesis chapter 36, 1 through 43. And then you will do Isaiah chapter 34, 1 through 17. Now, this is all coming from my logic page. And then Isaiah 63, 1 through 19. Then Isaiah 64, 1 through 11. And right there, I'm going to read this one here with you. Isaiah. So now when you get to 64, chapter 64, 1 through 11, as when bushwood is set ablaze, or fire makes the water boil, then your name will be made known to your enemies, and the nations will tremble before you. Verse 2, while you work awesome deeds we could not hope for, such as had not been heard of from of old, as the ancestors. No ear has ever heard, no eye ever seen any Yahuwah but you, working such deeds for those who wait for him. Verse 4, what would that your might meet us doing the right, that we might be mindful of you in our ways. See this? This is talking now later of the change of Esau coming in to help now Israel, who was being destroyed by all other nations. They came down out of the north to help those who were in the south. So now this is like the sneak peek. But here it is. This is why I'm going to have you write down many other precepts, which is going to better the understanding of this biological son, Esau, and his descendants. Now, as I continue to read in verse 4, indeed, you are angry. We have sinned. We have acted wickedly. Verse 5, we have all become like something unclean. All our just deeds are like polluted air. We have all withered like leaves. Our crimes carry us away like the wind. See the thoughts, our conscience. There are none who call upon your name. You see this? Underline that, brothers and sisters. Today, as we see, many brothers and sisters serve different religions except the Hebrew book. That is basically a blemish, a big one. Because here it is, this understanding is going to help you understand the spirit ways of biological Esau. Okay, why he was in Canaan, why his descendants kept on sinning and doing more sin. As we seen with Balaam, calling on Balak to worship more sin on the people, right, of Israel. Okay, we've seen Egypt destroy many of the children, which were male children, right, but keep the women, the daughters. Okay, they wanted them to live. Verse 6, he says, for you have hidden your face from us and have delivered us up to our crimes. Verse 7, yet, Almighty One, you are our Father. That's why we tell everyone, don't never call no one Father. The Pope like to be called the Father, right? Yah says, call nobody Father but me. I am your Father. Yahuwah, Yahweh. So now he says, we are the clay and you are the creator. It got powder. We are all the work of your hand or your creation. Verse 8, do not be so very angry, Almighty One, Yahweh. Do not remember our crimes forever. Look upon us. Who are all your people? Your set apart city, it got holy, have become a wilderness. Zion has become a wilderness. Jerusalem, a desolation. Now, when we looked up these key words of desolation, means completely mind destroyed. They do not worship this book, the Torah. They do not keep the laws and the statutes and the ordinance of my father Yahuwah. They have thrown it away to allow people to be drawn away, led astray into many religious factors, right? And you're seeing this right here. This is why you're hearing about the wars going on around Jerusalem, in Jerusalem, Israel, democracies, and many others, right? Because here it is, many have missed the fact of this puzzle piece for their understanding, but now have overstand, because now here it is, it's being released by Father Yah through IVI, Intelligent Voices Israelites. Verse 10, our set apart and glorious house, in which our ancestors praised you. Remember Solomon's temple? Has been burned with fire. Remember 70 AD, everyone? All that was dear to us is laid waste. Now you're seeing what happened after that. What did they think when the falling of the temple in Jerusalem was burnt down? Okay. So now here it is. We're taking you in the place of where actually in a time machine, as if you're standing right there with these Israelites. So now here it is in verse 11. Can you hold back, Almighty Yahweh, after all this? Can you remain silent and afflict us so severely? See that? So now you understand Esau ways changed. It became modern day Esau ways. Because here it is, the Moabites, Ammonites are still influencing people to live in religion, okay? To go into Canaan, so to speak, into the fallen daughter and become grafted into her. But when my father said, come out of her, right? So now this makes sense of why we have to talk about this and are talking about this here in this segment, to allow you to see the transformation became a confirmation for modern day Israelites, and why Judah, the 144,000, had to be raised up and handpicked by my father. Because here it is, we don't use God, Lord, or Baal-Por, or Lord-Por, or any nicknames referring to him. It's either Yahweh or Almighty Father Yah, Abba Yah. Because we're sticking to the Hebrew language, Eber, E-B-E-R, okay? You find that in Genesis as well, chapter 10, Table of Nations. So now, just dipping right there with you to let you see what more you're going to find when you read these chapters that I'm naming. Go to Isaiah chapter 65, write down 1 through 25. And then here it is. I'm going to go in Jeremiah 49 with you, 7 through 22. So Jeremiah 49. I'm sorry. Jeremiah 49, everyone, 7 through 22. Now, this is the judgment against Edom, as you might see in your book. And here it is. You need to write this down. 49, Jeremiah 7 through 22. He says, now concerning Edom, says the Almighty Yahuwah, Yahweh, is there no more wisdom in Teman? Has counsels perished from Purim? Is their wisdom gone? Verse 8, flee, retreat, hidden deep for lodging, inhabitants of Dedan, for I bring disaster upon Esau. See this? Now you're not getting the two Esau generations confused, everyone. You're only going to now understand that here it is. When we call anyone now Esau, it is not now directed only to those who are albino-skinned or light-skinned, but it comes with brown and dark skin as well, because these are the adoptions that are coming through the old ancient Esau. Okay. Verse 8, for I bring disaster upon Esau, whom I come to punish them. When I come to punish them, it is vintage came upon me. They will leave no gleaning. If thieves by night, here it is, they will destroy as they please. Verse 10, so I will strip Esau. See that? So I will strip Esau. Don't we see America being stripped? Now, you might find this in the other video, Modern Day Nights, which we did, when I said, now here it is. We see going on with the so-called African American and the so-called everything else, right? Because they are living in different religions and in religions. When the Israelite nationality is not a religion, it's the state of your identity as a Hebrew. I will uncover his layers so he cannot hide. Verse 10, offsprings and family are destroyed, neighbors too. He is no more. Verse 11, leave your orphans behind. I will keep them alive. Your widows, let them trust in me. See, now you can understand the 1/3. For this says the Almighty, look, even those not sentenced to drink the cup. Remember I said the Statue of Liberty used to have a cup. Now they put a torch in her hand. Must drink it. Shall you then go unpunished? You shall not. You shall drink every bit of it. Verse 13. By myself I have sworn or decreed it, says this Almighty Yahweh. Bozar shall become an object of horror, a disgrace. See this? A desolation. Now, this is Philistines fighting right now. And a curse of Bozrah. And all his cities shall become ruins forever. Now, when you look on the worldwide news, you will see this destruction. These homes in these towns and cities and many other things are completely destroyed by war. Gaza, okay? Now, as we continue here in Jeremiah 14, verse 14, I have heard a report from the Almighty Yahweh. A hurdle has been sent among the nations. Gather together, move against it, get ready for battle. Now, this is saying the coming, the beginning, and the middle parts of the ending of humanity. As the world is now dying out, things are less fashionable in common sense. Those who don't have sense at all don't see anything wrong with the world. Okay. Verse 15, I will make you the least among the nations, despised by all people. The terror you spread, the pride of your heart, begalled you. You denizers, occupying towers. Even though you build your highest height as the eagles, from there I will bring you down, says the Almighty Yahweh. Verse 17, Edom shall become an object of judgment. Passbyers recoil in terror, shock, hissing at all his wounds. You see people protesting right now, right? As when Sodom and Gomorrah and their neighbors were overthrown, the Almighty One said, no one shall live in it, nor anyone settle there. As when a lion comes up from a thickest of the Jordan to a permanent pasture, so in an instance I will chase them off. I will establish there whomever I choose. For who is like me? Who holds me accountable? What shepherd can stand against me? Therefore, listen to the strategy the Almighty Yahweh devised for Edom. See this? This is planned out, a set time clock, okay? The plan he has drawn up against the inhabitants of Teman. They shall be dragged away, even the smallest of their flock, children as well. Their pastry shall be against because of them. Shall be against them because of them. So therefore there is the shortage of food and supplies. With the din of their collapse of the earthquakes, to the Red Sea, the outcry is heard. Look, like an eagle, he soars and spreads his wings over Baza. On that day, the hearts of Edom's warriors become like the heart of women in labor. See that? So now here it is. This is talking about complete judgment on Moab and all of the pagan nations that is against righteousness and have therefore delivered paganism throughout its whole world from the UN. You can serve, they say, whatever you want. You can be whatever you want, okay? Just do not, here it is, trample on our laws. Didn't they do that in Rome back in the day? And what did the Israelites say? No, we don't have no king. We only have Caesar, right? So now today you got more Jesus Christ, more Muslims, more Mormons, more this and that, right? But Yah says, I'm saving. See, I have strategized a plan to take every last one of these people out, just as I had did before in the third generation of Esau, who therefore were the judges of Judah and therefore helped put together the laws for the people of Israel, of Jacob. So now as we see clearly, my father, your father, is bringing judgment on the world and its inhabitants, right? But people are keeping their eyes on what they physically see with wars taking place instead of looking at the war that's going on among the inhabitants around you. You got more brothers and sisters not acting towards this book, but acting against this book. Why? Because they believe in Jesus. Why? Because they believe in Muhammad or Buddha. Because here it is. This is why we're talking about this today here at IVI. To allow one to understand that there is judgment that is up on the land and fully alive. So now that is Jeremiah, you need to write down 49, 7 through 22. Then write down Genesis 14, 1 through 24. Then write down Deuteronomy chapter 2, 1 through 37. And I'm going to read that one. So chapter 2 of Deuteronomy. As I have told you, northward. Now Judah is north. Okay? Coming to save who? Israel, Jacob. Those who living by all these other religions, Lord, God, Jesus, and all the nicknames. So now here in Deuteronomy chapter 2, as we know, this is northward along Edom borders, okay? And this is going 1 through 37. Then we turned and proceed into the wilderness on the Red Sea road. Didn't Moses go there? As the Almighty had told me, and circled around the highlands of Seir for a long time. Finally, the Almighty Yahweh said to me, you have wandered around these highlands long enough. Turn and go north. Command the people. You are now about to pass through the territories of your what? Your relatives. Highlight that. The descendants of Esau who live in Seir. Although they are afraid of you, be very careful not to come in conflict with them, for I will not give you so much as a foot of their land. since I have already given Esau possession of the highlands. See that? Esau in possession of the highlands. So we were out and about and we seen brothers with posters with the 12 tribes on it, right? And here it is. They had the 12 tribe understanding completely backwards. Because here it is. They didn't have Judah as the northern, but here it is. They had them as the southern. And then they had the other 12 tribes, which was of the southern. But now it is clear that we're talking about two different events, two different time zones and generations, as we have pointed out in the earlier teachings of the modern day Esau. And here it is, we're getting a good look at why Moses had a nemesis when he came out of Egypt, who stopped or blocked them from even getting situated. But here it is, Yah is allowing you to see he had them go around and around wondering, going through this trial with Esau descendants in the highlands of Seir. Verse 6, you shall purchase from them with money the food you eat. Even whatever you drink, you shall buy from them with money. Ain't that happening today in America and around the globe? It's usually all of those in the old biological son ways, selling to you and you not to them, right? You the tail and they're the head, right? Everything you get, you have to come from someone that don't live in your community, right? Everything you buy or put on is someone that don't look like you, but selling this stuff to you. Okay? Keep that in mind. Because when you go look at the archive video earlier, this all will tie together. Why we're giving the jewels or pieces of the puzzle for your fit in to actually have the complete vision. So he says in verse 7, surely the Almighty, your Yahuwah, has blessed you in all your undertaking. He has been concerned about your journey through this vast wilderness. It is now 40 years that the Almighty Yahweh, your Yahuwah Almighty, has been with you, and you have lacked nothing. So we pass by our relatives, the descendants, underline that everybody, in verse 8, the descendants of Esau, who lives in Seir, leaving behind us the Arabia route. See, here it is. This is when the Muslims come in of Ishmaelites, okay? Arabia, the route. And he says, then we turned and passed on towards the wilderness of the Moabites or Moab. And the Almighty Yahweh said to me, do not show hostility to the Moabites or engage them in battle. Underline this so you don't lose that. This is why everyone without melon is not looked upon about their skin, it's about their actions. He says, engage them in battle, for I will not give you possession of any of their land, since I have given to the descendants of Lot as their possession. Formerly, here it is, they lived there, a people great of numerous, and as tall as the Akim. So now here it is, we're looking at the Egyptians of why they had them high statues that they were worshiping of Ra. And here it is, verse 11, like the Achanim, they are considered Rephaim through the Moabites, call them and Seir. However, the former inhabitants were the Horites, the descendants of Esau. Underline that. The Horites are the descendant of Esau, depossessed them. Here it is. They went to battle and therefore they forced them out, clearing them out of the way and dwelling in their place. just as Israel has done in the land of its possession, which the Almighty gave it. Now understand, now get ready to cross the water. So we crossed the water, verse 14. 38 years had elapsed between our departure. See this? Why I did the math earlier, and you might have to rewind. Most of you who are just tuning in, shalom to both to all of you, to allow you to see that here it is, the time frame, and seeing how Moses was having such a hard time with Esau of the biological descendants coming out of him after he died, up to the third generation. And crossing the water, in the meantime, the whole generation of soldiers had perished from the camp. See this? As the Almighty has sworn, it is, they should. Indeed, the Almighty own hand was against them. So here it is, remove them from the assembly camp completely. Verse 14. No, verse 16. When a length of days had put an end to all the soldiers among the people, the Almighty said to me, you are now about to leave Ur in the territory of Moabites behind. Verse 19, as you come opposite the Ammonites, do not show hostility or come in conflict with them. For I will not give you possessions of any land of the Ammonites, since I have given it to the descendants of Lot as their possession. This also is considered a country of the Raphim. Formerly the Raphim dwelt there. The Ammonites called them Zamzummim, a people great and numerous and as tall as the Achanan. But these two, the Almighty Yahweh cleared out of the way of the Ammonites, so that they relocated them and dwelt in their place. He did the same for the descendants of Esau, who lived in Seir, by clearing the Horites out of their way, so that they relocated them and dwelt in their place down to the present. As for the Avim, who once lived in the villages in the vicinity of Gaza, didn't I just say that? Destroyed. As you look around, that is all destroyed. The migrating cleared them away and dwelt in their place. Verse 24, advance now across the water. I now deliver into your power, it is, Sihon, the Ammonite king, Ahashbon, and his land. Begin to take possession, engage him in battle. This day I will begin to put a judgment and dread of you into the people everywhere under the heavens, so that at the mention of your name they will quake and tremble before you. So I sent messengers from the wilderness, and here it is, King Hashbon, with this offer of peace. Let me pass through your country. I will travel only on the road. I will not turn aside either to the right or to the left. The food I eat, you will sell me for money, and the water I drink, you will give me for money. Only let me march through. Verse 29. As the descendants of Esau who dwelled in Seir, and the Moabites who dwelled in Ar, have done, until I cross the Jordan into the land of the Almighty Yahweh, our Almighty Father, is about to give us. But King Sihon refused to let us pass through his land, because the Almighty Yahuwah made him stubborn in his mind, in his heart, that he might deliver him into your power, as indeed he has now done. Verse 31. Then the Almighty One said to me, now that I have already begun to give over to you Sihon and his land, begin to take possession. So Sihon and all his people advanced against us to join battle. But since the Almighty Yahuwah had given him over to us, we defeated him and his sons and all his people. At that time, we captured all his cities and put every city under the ban, men, women, and children, who left no survivors. Now understand why Arabs, and here it is, the Ishmaelites, are now mostly, as you know, mostly Muslim. And they basically want to rule all religions. And here it is, they were behind the plot of creation of religions, just to set up later on in the future to run by one religion, running all religions under Islam, which is still under a curse, as we have taught. Now in verse 35, our only plunder was the livestock and the spoils we captured, cities from Aurora on the edge of the water. And then we see from the towns of inside the water itself, as far as Gilead, no city was too well fortified for us. All of them, the Almighty Yahweh, our Yahuwah Father, gave over to us. However, just as the Almighty Yahweh, our Father, commanded us, you did not encroach up on any of the Ammonites' land, neither the regions bordering on the water, and nor the cities of the highlands. So now we're seeing a complete shifting of Esau, kings and descendants. And a complete strategized plan by Father Yah, my father, your father, to let you see the end is come. Because a one-world religion is coming. And you done seen there is many brothers who are Israel, sisters who are Israel, Christian. Because they keep Lord, God, Jesus, which is Jesus, which is out of the 1611 King James. And you might can Google this and look at the book and for yourselves. And see that here it is. This was at the time of the biological son, and after his death, his descendants down to the third generation. Talking of also 70 AD, of the fall of King Solomon and Jerusalem being burnt to the ground. Then I need you to take down Judith, chapter 3, 1 through 10. Judith, chapter 4, 1 through 15. And then Psalms. We're going to turn to Psalms. I'm going to read chapter 60, 1 through 14. Now, when you get to Psalms chapter 60, see, the books go together. These are puzzle pieces being put together right before your eyes, brothers and sisters, here at IVI, allowing you to see the difference between the generations of Esau. Now, as we see this in chapter 60, 1 through 14, we clearly are starting here in verse 2. When he fought against Aram, Zabath, Joab, coming back, killed 12,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. Then we talked about the Valley of Salt earlier, Basra, and also the Valley of Salt. Verse 3, O Yahuwah, you rejected us, broke our defenses. You were angry, but now revive us. You rocked the earth, split it open, repaired the cracks for it. You made your people go through hardship. made us stagger from the wine you gave us, raised up a banner for those who, here it is, revise us or reject you, a fortress, a refuge for them out of the Baal shop. Verse 7, help with your right hand and answer us, that your loved ones may escape. In the sanctuary, Yahuwah promised, I will exalt, will apportion, Shishim. See that? Shishim, underline that. Remember Shem? Noah had 3 sons. In the valley of Succoth, I will measure out. Gilead is mine, mine is Manasseh. Remember the tribe Manasseh of Joseph? Ephraim, there you go, is the helmet for my head. Watch this. Judah, my own scepter, right? Moab is my wash bowl. Upon Edom, I cast my sandals. I will triumph over the Philistine. Who will bring me to the fortified city? See this? This is that war we talked about, the 9 wars leading to complete siege. Everyone need to refer anyone to that archive video here on IVI. Who will lead me to Edom? Verse 12. Was it not you who rejected us? Yahuwah, do you no longer march with our people? Verse 13. Give us aid against the foe. See this? Worthless is human help. Underline that. Verse 14. We will triumph with the help of Yahuwah, who will trample down our foes. So now here it is. This is why many brothers and sisters are waking up, or so-called, as they say, returning. I like to say grafted in. Because when you're grafted in, that means you're a part of it. You're not forced into it. You're not scared into it, right? Because here it is, you're coming in by the understanding, because you have always been in looking and searching for wisdom, for knowledge, to give you the understanding by the pages of the Hebrew Bible. Because as we have stated, this is your historical record book, brothers and sisters. This is allowing you to see what was before you and what is after you. See that? And this is going to allow you to look at Genesis chapter 10, 1 through 32. Write that down. This is the full research list. And this will give you, like I stated, the more closeness of your research by reading these scriptures on your personal time. Because here it is, as you have watched the narrative part of the logics being given, and then the precepts that we have also went through in the book, we're seeing 2 different time periods of Esau. And that means that full wisdom have now been displayed, not to just look at Esau as a complete defiler. But here it is, we're now looking at the actions and the ways of the people. And now you'll know who is being grafted in and who is true a brother in your system. Because here it is, it makes completely sense by your research and also by your help by the spiritual divine that is in all of us, our Father Yahweh, who helps you with the truth, to know that you have discovered something that you didn't know, or may have read before, but have never saw it put together, so you can have vision, complete vision, where therefore you have no blemish when you see a brother that is from another nation or a sister from another nation. Right away, got judgment. You now become a physician helping your subject by analogy. And here it is, you start to see them for what they are doing, examine their autonomy. Like if you had those Superman eyes to see through things, right? But this would be the spiritual divineness of my Father Yahweh, who are helping you see what has always been there. But man have taken things and run with it to make things worse. Because here it is, like I say, false prophets has arisen all over America. And these men have studied the book of the Hebrew Bible very well. But what is not clear to them, what they cannot say is the truth of the name. They cannot teach that way. Why? Because they are full of witchcraft, as we stated earlier. It will allow them to not use any righteous name, which is the name above all names, Yahweh. And here it is, to knowing that that is the true Savior that came in Yahshua, who was a man divine on the earth among our ancestors at a time, who therefore they rejected him because they rejected his truth, which came from the Father that was in him. I am one with the Father, and the Father is one with me. So here it is today. You're seeing clearly Edom's wisdom of history and have traveled through the time machine with me, your brother, Yezreel Yashambayah, and allowed you to see the evidence of the kings starting out in this segment broadcast, and to see that not only that Esau got a blessing from his father, Isaac, who told him there will be kings that stem from you. So now we know after biological son Esau died, kings was risen up later in the descendantship. And you got to write all of these kings down and also find out that they were enemies against who? Israel, who was Jacob. Okay? And they therefore use Islam as a made-up religion to persecute anyone that doesn't serve out of Jacob into them. And many times, as you do your research, brothers and sisters, Islam forced many brothers and sisters in Africa to become Islamic. Oh, yes. And the only thing that they talk good to me is that therefore the pig is bad. No one should be eating that if you can afford something better. So here it is. They have went from different types of traditions in Islam. And now you got Judaism, which is also part of the Tamar, tied to witchcraft, as we have seen in the early parts of this study. So now you're able to look at a person not by the color of their skin, but by the ways and the actions of these people, to realize that these are truly brothers and sisters in need of dire help, as we seen with Lot, who lived among Sodom and Gomorrah, who didn't really affiliate with the people in the land, as we can see with the angels when they came and they found Lot. And then here it is, Lot took them to his house among his family and closed the door because he didn't want them interacting with all of that virus outside of the door of those who are living in different religions and doing things that was abomination against the commandments of Yah. So we saw that. And now this is helping walk you into now realizing what Jasher 61, 8 through 9 was said, which now referring to Joshua, as he did the same thing as Joshua or Yahshua had done, stopping the sun and the moon from going down or, bringing upon evening. So now here it is, and showing the power of my father Yahuwah. But here it is, we seen what Balaam and Balak wanted to put the curses on the Israelites. But then we see also a coming time when now Judah, who was in the northern parts, and that's why I said many brothers got their charts wrong. And I wish I had my phone here to show you one of them. And they got the 12 tribes of Israel and telling you which tribe you belong to. But here it is, the education now should be now changed because Judah is part of the northern borders. And here it is, it's Benjamin and Levi. And then it goes into the southern border of the 12 or the 9 tribes. Because remember, Israel lost tribes. And here it is, 9 came back. And that 9 ties back to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which makes up now 12 tribes. But still, here it is, still of 2 olive trees, because the 1/3 is coming through Israel. And these are the so-called Christians, so-called Protestants, Seventh-day Adventists, apocalyptics, I think, Mormons, and many other different other religions. So now you can understand when Revelation speaks of the 1/3 coming through the fire, brothers and sisters, it is tying back to the true information of Esau, who runs right now modern day America and many other countries through the UN, which is tied to the dragon because he was given power to run the world. So now you can see why many men have set up shop in your communities, and many women as well in your communities that do not, here it is, have any connection to this Bible, but only to witchcraft of Baal or Baal. And here it is, the Asherah and many other deities. So it's the behavior now. And that can be white, brown, or black, okay? And this here will help you understand by tying what we did just a day ago with Edom modern day, taking you now into the understanding of why we went there in the first place, to show you the outcome. But still, let me get my logic notes here. Let's look at Miriam, okay? Because now Miriam, she was the elder sister of Moses. Now remember what Miriam went through. She basically got her skin turned, right? And who was ahead of him, of Moses, her brother, her sibling, by 7 years. And Aaron, she was older than him by 4 years. This was Miriam. She was the only daughter of Amram and Jochebed. She was also a prophet, and she first appeared in the book of Exodus, as we know, when her skin turned. And here is some logic notes. Siblings, Moses and Aaron, parents, Jochim and Aram. Grandparents were Levi and Kehath and Izhar, and nephew Eleazar, Nabad, and Abahu. And then we get Thermer and Gershom and Eleazar, cousin Amram and Issachar and Hebron. Now, this is a fact. Where is the mountains and the routes and the places? Meribah is located in Jerusalem. Meribah is Moriah. So this is for more research, brothers and sisters. It's located in Jerusalem, and it is also the location of Isaac's sacrifice, where Abraham told him to go, and they were at in Jerusalem. And now Kadesh, Kadesh, is described as an oasis south of Canaan, west of Arabah, and east of the brook of Egypt. Okay, it is an 11-day march by the way of Mount Seir from Horeb. Now go to Deuteronomy with me and look at Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 2. It's a journey of 11 days. So now you understand that my logics line up with the precepts because I did research. So now here it is. It is a journey of 11 days from Horeb to the Kadesh by the way of the highlands of Seir. So now you know that is referring to Esau's land. in Canaan, east of the brook of Egypt. It's called Mount Seir. Now, Shur, S-H-U-R, is located along the water, as we have read in the book of the Hebrew Bible, east of the Nile Delta, which is an ancient route between Egypt, and this is why we did the study of Ekron, because many brothers didn't know where ancient Babylon was. So here it is. We have taught on that. And now you can tie that to the Euphrates River, which has dried up. It was one of the biggest cities, with 5 being surrounded by it, neighboring it. And then Egypt would have been the next biggest that people would have went to for commerce. So east of the Delta, ancient route between Egypt and Canaan, and across the Sinai. Oops, sorry. So now, before I even close today, I got an add-on that I wanted to add on here. Let's see. And this is some paperwork that we had got from Milano Richards in 2012. This is basically showing you how the Catholic Church have taken over and caused these religionist factors to be throughout the globe. Now, these are basically, oh, and I have the Statue of Liberty, what it says on the plaque. Let me bring that out. As we looked at the Statue of Liberty, and as I've told, she used to have a cup. Now she has a torch. They did many renditions on her, but at the base of this statue, this is wickedness. This is all done by the African Union and the North American Union. And here it is. You can see the actions that we're talking about of Esau. Why I'm going to bring this up in the study. Let me stand up. Because here it is, brothers and sisters. This is why the UN is in control of everything, right? Now look at Revelations chapter 17 with me. A kingdom divided against itself cannot stand, right? Now you can understand why the fall of the world. Because now you done got the wisdom of Esau, period time, when the biological was in reign, leading down to the kings that came out of him later on in the 3rd generation. And then the fall of Jerusalem of 70 AD. And then we also have talked about how many Israelites was put to death, even under Moses, because of the judges, who was therefore out of Esau, coming in out of the north to help Israel, because they was getting destroyed by and being put under so many persecutions. Now here, as we see, why I said the Statue of Liberty is wicked, and why the occult, Illuminati, so on and so on, Eastern stars, all of them, so on and so on, Muslims, so on and on, right? So now when we look here in Revelation 17, go with me to verse 12. It says 10 horns that you saw represents 10 what? Kings. So now here it is. What's going to happen after the fall of her will become a one world government ruled by a wicked force system, right? Who has not yet been crowned. They will receive royal authority. See that? Along with the beast for 1 hour. See that? That one peace agreement. For one. Okay? So now you're going to see a lot going on. Now understanding, I say it's not about color anymore. It's about the actions and the ways of the people. This is what you're watching for. This is why Yah says, please do not be deceived. Okay? Don't be led astray. Because here it is, you're getting the puzzle pieces, so therefore you can save your life by the Spirit of Yahweh. Verse 13, they are of one mind and will give their power and authority to the system of the beast or the dragon, right? For 1 hour. So now this is an African union and a Northern American union. Now remember, Esau, the old Esau, came out of that spirit of hatred, came out of that biological son and his descendants leading up to the 3rd generation. And now we can see why both nations were split apart, the North and the South. And they were fighting and under a great persecution, Israel, Jacob. So now go to Revelation chapter 1. Then the one of the 7 angels who were holding the 7 bowls came and said to me, come here and I will show you the judgment of the great harlot or harlot who lives near the many waters. See that? Just as it was in the water in the Jordan with Moses crossing over, having a nemesis who was basically Esau biological. And here it is later, then the descendants. And now today in modern time, we see Moab and many of all of these wicked nations who follow after the curse still are basically now rising up again for a one world government and a one world religion by force. Then we look at verse 5 in that same chapter. On her forehead, see that, was written a name, which is a mystery, which we don't reveal is not a mystery no more. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, or harlots, and of the abomination of the earth, or is the abomination of the earth, right? So now you see that in verse 5. This is why my father says, come out of her, because she have adopted Esau's old ways, making up Canaan inside of her, bursting out in sin, abominations, putting it on people to worship in different religions, denying the truth of the Hebrew Bible, and here it is being led astray by different other religions. Witchcraft, right? That's witchcraft. When you are bamboozled, witchcraft. Now look at verse 18, same chapter. The woman whom you saw represents, see this? Everyone who comes in a different religion represents someone, right? But see, here it is. Yahuwah says, I didn't create any other religions or no religions at all, but of only a chosen people, as we read earlier in this segment, right? So now when we look at verse 18, the woman whom you saw represents the great city that has, here it is, relocated over, here it is, the kings of the earth, or repossessed over the kings of the earth. So here it is, America, the UN always puts sanctions on everybody, right? But nobody is able to put sanctions on America. Okay? So keep that in mind. Because now you're seeing the Esau ways and patterns of old Esau, built biological Esau, who now comes in multiple colors. And here it is, has forced man and woman and child into slavery of different religion. Jesus, Lord, God, Buddha, Muhammad, Allah, okay? And so on and so on, which is basically a blemish upon those people who now know the truth, but won't force themselves out of the untruth into the truth. It's right here. It's been sitting here all this time. So now look at Revelations 18. And let's look at verse 11 and 13. Didn't I say that there's always a man in your community or a woman in your community selling to you and you not to them? And you got to ask yourself, Why I gotta always go to them and buy something? And why can I have my own thing and sell it with my people, and then we build up our nationalism? And here it is, become a force on our own and be able to loan to our own people, right? Instead of banks loaning to you who are basically not living within your community or helping your community, you're seeing your community become more of a ghetto, a hazard for prostitution, for killing, for stealing. But you don't find that in suburban neighborhoods, right? And also in some of your apartments, you don't see them having some way where you can recycle. They just tell you to put everything in the garbage. But in the neighborhoods, in the residentials, you got a blue garbage can side by a green one, right? Telling you to recycle because they're treating you more like a citizen of this Babylon more than a curse when you are in the residence. But when you're in apartments and many others, you just get one big garbage can. So keep that in mind. So now in verse 11, the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn for her because there will be no more markets. See that? Nobody's really buying anything like they used to 10, 15 years ago. For their cargo has been stuck in the water. Verse 12, their cargo of gold, silver, precious stones, and pearls, fine linen, purple silk, scarlet cloth, fragrance, wood of every kind, articles of all kind, ivory, and all articles of most expensive wood, bronze, iron, and marble. Verse 13, cinnamon, spice, myrrh, frankincense, wine, olive oil, fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horse, and chariots, and slaves. That is, human beings. You see that? It's in the book. This is coming in the one world government. Oh, yes. Didn't it say not all of you will perish, not all of you will die? Because some of you become slaves. And that be the ones that won't let go of Jesus, which is Jesus, Muhammad, here it is, Allah, Buddha, Mormon, Seventh-day Saints, and so on and so on. They will become basically slaves. And as you see this here, brothers and sisters, slaves in spirit of men and women. Because here it is, this carrying out a judgment. Didn't we start with that, Esau? Because here it is, the judgment is still upon the spiritual people who are still outside of this book. Now look at the Statue of Liberty. This is what it says. Anyone who haven't been to New York, if you ever get the opportunity to go, please go. Go check it out. And here it is. You will find out that this is witchcraft. Clearly says at the Statue of Liberty, at this site on August 5th, 1884, the cornerstone of the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, enlightening the world, was led with ceremony by William A. Brodie. So now William A. Brodie is a Grand Master Mason. Okay, look him up. His name is spelled William. A as a middle initial, Brodie, B-R-O-D-I-E. He was a Grand Master Mason in the state of New York. Grand Lodge member. He was, here we go, a representative. Then we see that in Revelations chapter 7, 12 through 13. There's always someone got to be a representative for whatever nation that they're with. I am with the tribe of Judah, so I am a representative for Judah, for the house of Judah. So it says a member, and he was a representative of the United States and of France governments, and Navy officer, member of the foreign litigation, and distinguished citizens were present. They say distinguished citizens were, here it is, present. So that means people from different countries. This plaque is dedicated by the Masons of New York in commemoration of the 100th anniversary of that historic event. Of that what? Historic event. Keep that in mind. That's at the base of the plaque. So now you can see that it's not your liberty, our liberty, but the liberty of those who stay in witchcraft and evil doing and following outside of the real true book of the Hebrew Bible. It's talking about it would give you freedom to roll out the red carpet for yourselves with a price. Because witchcraft comes with a price. Masonry comes with a price. Ask Shaq. Okay? They'll put a dress on you quick. Ask Kevin Hart. Okay? Put lipstick on you too. So now you can see why men are in prisons raping other men. Because here it is, they don't have no understanding. They've been cursed. Okay? And then we see the turnout comes out gay prides, right? And many other things, which is against this Hebrew Bible. There's nowhere in there that Yah says for you to do that. There's plenty scriptures to show not to do that. So now you got to ask yourself, who will you listen to? Will you listen to the spirit of old Esau, who joined himself to Canaan and Canaanized with many women and had more sons? And the Ishmaelite tribe as well for Arabia, who therefore took many Hebrew women into slavery and then killed them when they were done with them, cut their heads right off, okay? And now you can understand why we came with the camps to show you the location, because here it is, an infidel get their head removed. Christians, they don't cut heads off. They just call you what? A backslider. But they sliding too, but don't know it. Right into the same hell. So now here it is, with the Statue of Liberty, you got to say, now what liberty is it for me who follow Yahweh? None. Because the book says in Matthew, let's go, the chapter 24. And here it is, verse 9. Then they will hand you over. See that? Verse 9. Then they will hand you over to persecution, and they will what? Kill you. Didn't I tell you in that video that we have here with showing the camps that there's guillotines in the back of these places, man? Some you can see, some now they done built right over so you can't see. But here it is, they got 12-foot guillotines in these places. Now you can understand why it says not all of you would die, but here it is, but most of you will be persecuted. And then it says in verse 10, and then many will be led into more sin. They will what? Betray and hate one another. Many false prophets will arise and deceive many, or many false prophets would have already arrived. That's what it would have said in the scroll. And deceive many. That's why I'm telling brothers and sisters, you cannot teach with Lord God and bywords. It's either Yahweh, Yahweh. Okay? Even the Moabite stones tell you, most of them switched over from all their paganism and religionism back onto the covenantism of Yahweh. Now here in Matthew, it says many have already risen and deceived many. Verse 12, and because of the increase of people, evil, wrongdoing, right? Because here it is, they won't listen to sound doctrine. Oh, I know that. Oh, man. Yeah, I know all about that. No, you don't, brother. No, you don't, sister. Because here it is, I can tell you got blemish. And here it is, your light is dimmer and mine is brighter. Because here it is, I do not appease her, the one called Statue of Liberty. Okay? And I do not help out the UN with Lord Jesus in Christ, because we're going to get into that of how Sabbath day was changed to Sunday by Catholics. The love of many will grow cold. No, it says many will not love the righteousness of the Hebrew Bible. They will therefore betray. But the one who perseveres to the end will be saved, in verse 13. In this gospel, see this? I am a representative of Judah. In this gospel, okay, of the kingdom will be preached, as I am with my Father, tonight with you all here in this segment, throughout the world as a witness. That's right. As a witness to all nations, and then shall your understanding of wrongness end. Okay? Because here it is, you're going to have an option to get right and get tight, to believe with your own eyes and see what you see with your eyes, and feel with your spirit of Yahweh, my Father, your Father, and give all of your will to him. Because here it is, you know you got blemishes. Because now we can see why he says for 1 hour, okay, in Revelation 17, 12, 13, that's the 1-year peace agreement coming up on this election, which therefore Trump already predated and signed and got signed by his own grandson. And here it is, Israel is waiting on the presidency, okay? But they're not knowing when they send peace and security, there is a war brewing up on her that will take place. And this is why I told everybody that 27 will be a persecution year. Because this will be the time where many will have to decide where they want to be, in hell or in the kingdom of the Almighty, my Father, eternal life. Because here it is, clearly allowing you to see. When you see this desolation, abomination spoke of through Daniel the prophet standing in the set apart place, let the reader understand what is standing in the place right now that shouldn't be there. The dome of the rock, right? And it's been there all this time. Nobody's talked about it, right? Ethiopia is the oldest tribe still over in the land of Africa, still saying Yahudite, okay? And they've been kicked aside where they cannot even do most of their feasts on their land, and they have to get permission from a guy that don't even live where they live. Benjamin Netanyahu is a prime minister, is a traitor, and he works in witchcraft, same as America. So you can see why they already signed the international peace agreement, why the Arabs are coming to the summit meeting, why Russia is meeting with North Korea, and soldiers are training for a war for, here it is, Venezuela and many other countries coming into Israel to take it over. Because then we just read that earlier, brothers and sisters, it will be desolated. Then those who are in Judea or who are Jews must flee. We've seen that in our studies today, Petra. Flee. Where? Petra. That's where they're going. And then as we scrum down, verse 20, pray that your flight not be in winter. See that? So there is a strategizing to my Father, as he stated. I strategize the plan of when I strike. But when I strike, only those who are with me will know what's going on. Because here it is, they have now returned apart to me, which is their free will. And now with that will, I have renovated them spiritually by possession of Yahweh. See that? So that way, you know your brother who is a representative of Judah is not a false prophet. Because what you're going to see it from the words of my Father's words. Because here it is, we take you right there to show you what you may have read, but didn't know it tied together to Esau, his old history, and then the modern day history. As we see it today, many people worship on Sunday. Then he says here, pray that it not be in winter or on the Sabbath. That's what we're finna get to. Sabbath, which is what? The seventh day. Okay? which is called in English, in Greek, Saturday. Okay? Even if it's said in multiple different language, it still means the same thing, Saturday. Or if you want to go seventh day, which it will be seventh day, Sabbath. So now let's look here in this file. As we see, what No Richards have stated and took files from the Vatican to allow many to see at this particular time in 2012, this was the access point to get things out to show many Israelites at the time in Africa the opportunity to show the bamboozle is being put down on your people. Okay. Now here it says, let me follow up here. We can but look onward to a new perplexity in the coming conflict. But we may well look on what is past as well as what is to come and say, here, Almighty Helper, help us. As in Samuel chapter 7:12, as thy days, so shall thy strength be. Deuteronomy 33:25, the trial will not exceed the strength which shall be given unto bear it. Then let us take up our work just where we find it. Without one word, imaging, nothing can come, but that strength will come proportionate to the trials. Our present peace must not be disturbed by anticipated trials. Now understand why the Pope came around Barack Obama's term through all the Catholic Church in New York. This is what they were talking about when the news can enter the room. Our present peace must not be disturbed by anticipated trials, for Yahuwah will never leave nor forsake one spirit who trusts against him. Yahuwah is better unto us than our fears, meaning keeping the knowledge and not releasing it to the people, changing the Sabbath and making it from Saturday to Sunday, and making every church bow to the Pope as a father. They give submission to the Pope. They do nothing without the Pope. If you Baptist, Lutheran, Seventh-day Adventist, or even a Muslim, you do nothing without the Pope, period. Okay? So now watch this. Holy, which we know, set apart confidence of blessed trust. And we are secure from storm, from the tempest. We are to wait on our Almighty. Yahshua will be an ever-present help in everything of need. Because here it is, they are taking and switching. Remember I told you the devil flipped the Bible of understanding, but IVI has come to unflip it for you. Now, understand this. Our inquirer in regard to the courses of which should be persuaded, see that? Persuaded, to secure the rights of our people to worship according to the dictates of our own conscience. Right here in this file. Not to the understanding of Yahweh. The Pope in the Catholic says, no, we're going to bend the rules and make them worship us. So he says, pursue to secure the rights of our people to worship according to the dictates of our own conscience. This has been a burden of my spirit for some time. Now remember, this was all in a sit-in. Whether it would be a denial of our faith and evidence that our trust was not fully in Yahuwah. But I call to mind many things Yahuwah has shown me in the past in regard to the things of a similar character as the draft during the American Civil War. In other things, I can speak in the fear of Yahuwah it is right we should use every power we can to avert pressure that is being brought to bear upon our people. See this? We are not to provoke those who have accepted the Sabbath. See that? But now a one-world religion is coming, right? Institution of papacy in the place of Yahuwah's set apart Sabbath. There's not having the Bible argument in their favor makes them all the more angry and determined to supply the place of arguments that are wanting in the word of Yah by the power of their mights. The force of persecution follows the steps of the dragon. Didn't I just tell you that? The UN runs the world. And when the one world religion come and the one world government basically comes out of hiding, because it ain't hiding, it's right subliminal, right before people's face, and they don't see things are changing. Mars is being put up everywhere. And now here it is, they're moving into another way of now making it all Catholic, running under Islam, okay, that they set up through Ishmaelites, as we started in this lesson with Esau. And now you see the changing in the authority of the Catholics, who changed the Sabbath, Saturday to Sunday, to make everyone say they're going to church on Sunday, which is basically witchcraft Sunday, bloody Sunday. Do your research, brothers and sisters. So now he says, we follow the steps of the dragon. Therefore, great care should be exercised to give no provocation. And again, let us as a people, as far as possible, cleanse the camp of moral defilement and aggravating sins. Now, this was Brother Richards, who was a cardinal, okay, at this time. And now here it is. You're reading what was in transcript. I am reading what was in transcript when the Pope came and went to all of those churches and met with all of them high-ranking members of those Catholic churches. And then it's trickled from them down to all the regular churches that's in your cities, all the pastors. Okay, it was like an explosion of prosperity gospel going on at this time, right? Many people or pastors wanted big things, planes, houses, jewelry, and so on and so on. And here it is, they made their congregation give. Okay? Now here it is, Blue Law, Adventist, chain gang, he calls it. At the time this manuscript was written, not a few Seventh-day Adventists were suffering persecution for their faith, especially in southern states in 1895 to 1896. No less than 76 Seventh-day Adventists were persecuted in the United States and Canada under existing, here it is, Sunday laws. Of these, 28 served terms of various lengths in jail. Didn't we just read that in the book of Matthews? Some of you will be persecuted. Some of you will become a slave to these people, whoever wants you to be their slave, right? For whatever reasons, okay? Chain gangs, aggravating 1,144 days, American state papers. And then as it got the dictation of if you went to the Vatican right now, went in the basement and told them you want to pull up article page 4357 14 MR, they'll know exactly what area aisle to take you in so you can pull that book that I'm reading this from. Then he says, for 7-day Adventism sprung from a religion. See that? A religious movement which stressed, here it is, the eschatological events of the resurrection, the last judgment, and the punishment of sins and sinners. See that? You can be all you can want to be in America. You don't have to be Israelite. You can be a Christian. You can be a Muslim. You can be a Latter-day Saint. You can be a Mormon. But see, Catholics, They're under that spell of the ancient Esau, along with Muslims, okay? Now you understand why some of you probably don't went out to some of these locations of these camps that we did on our archive video and found them or discovered there was a blockage that you couldn't go no further, but now see and aware that these buildings, these camps are there and ready. They're not, here it is, got tree limbs and all kind of bushes all covered over. No, they are ready for inhabitants. As we see in the first year of Trump's reign, him trying to get these immigrants out is leading up to a full persecution of judgment or trial and tribulations by 2027. So now we see, which in the last days would divide the inhabitants of the earth into two classes, as the manuscript says. Those who obey Yahuwah will be eternally saved, and those who reject his law will be eternally lost. Now, this was a cardinal. This is from the manuscript from 2012, when Barack was running and in office. The attitude of the individual towards the 7-day Sabbath will be the determining factor. Didn't I just say that? You would get that letter in the mail saying that we're under a one-world religion, and that here it is, your whole household have to sign their name on this paper with their social security number, okay? And they have to be in no later than 11 days you have. Otherwise, you will be persecuted, like Matthew chapter 24, verse 9 says, dragged off to prison, okay? So now you can see that this ain't no lie. This is straight manuscripted from a cardinal, and I gave y'all the name. And then he continues. He says, the closing events of this earth's history. That's what's coming, brothers and sisters. War. Nations against nations that you have seen means war. Stemming from the east as far as to the west. War. Okay? Which is a tied together religion of Islam and Catholicism. And every other thing under that. As he stated, as he sat in this room with the Pope and with the high officials, and therefore this is what they talked about, and it was typed and descripted, just like if they had a little lady at the judge of the court who always typing. This is a manuscript that I'm reading to you, and I'm telling you where you can pull it up. If you went to the Vatican right now, if your brothers and sisters are right now in Rome, y'all already know what I'm talking about. Then he says, the closing of this earth's history, controversy. And then it says, title issued in 1840 to 1888 and 1911. This is how far back they've been actually strategizing this. They published Ellen G. White writings for the Kindred stated that might throw some added light on coming events, which helped to round out the picture of the final events of Earth history. See, the world is finna go. Y'all, they don't see, people don't allow the dragon and the beast to get so powerful. Now you're gonna need divine help in order to be free. As he continued to state, as Sunday law issues intensified in the late 1800s and agitations for the national Sunday law in the United States increased, Ellen White wrote prospectively of the impending conflict in the testimonies in volume 5, page 711 through 718, as discussing the significance of issues then facing the 7-day Adventists, declaring that the church was not ready for the issue, and conjuring. See that? Conjuring. Didn't we read about Balaam and Balak and conjuring, which is witchcraft, conjuring against that of Yahuwah might yet, in answer to the prayers of his people, hold in check the workings of those who are making void his law. You can see that in the page 714, as they put it, transcripted 3SM 381.1 file. And then it continues. Starting out with the southern states. See, this is why many people who lived in the South came out with a Baptist background. Okay. This is all part of Esau, the old biological Esau spirit, being led astray, allowing yourself to say that here it is, you're a Baptist, you're a Protestant, you're a Seventh-day Adventist, you're Christian, you're Catholic. See, the devil had already strategically strategized a plan, as I read, to keep information back, even from those preachers, but therefore letting them in on the secret for those who became Masons, as we've seen with the Statue of Liberty. And most preachers are Masons under Catholicism. So he says the southern states were enforced, and Adventists were arrested, imprisoned, forced to labor in chain gangs for not observing these laws. The Sabbath Sunday issue. See that? Because here it is. When you join these churches, you become now a pre-Mason or Eastern Mason or Trinity Mason. Okay? And all of this is tied back to witchcraft, serving Sunday, not Saturday. See? It's a trick. And here it is, really not a trick. It's just brothers and sisters do not think and do not listen and do not follow after real truth. They feel, nah, I know about that. Nah, I'm good. Yeah, all right, okay. But here it is, they walking around with most of the problems by serving this Sunday law. And now it's going to come in full pledge as a one-world religion. Then he says, at the 1889 General Conference session, and you can find more of this in this file of 3SM 381-2, agitation for Sunday legislation gradually weaned. See that? It was gradually weaned. See, they were going to force it at first because this was in the earlier periods, 18 something and going on down. We now in what, 20th century? Some say 21st. But here it is. It was weaned through southern borders, southern Alabama, Louisiana, and many Mississippians. And they came into the cities with this Baptist background, which they was weaned on. And it was given before church leaders, so far as actually persecution for Sabbath observance. They were killing brothers, hanging them. Okay? They was lynching. Okay? The South had a lot of lynching. Okay? Many ancestors died. And they were being persecuted, and they know why. Because a lot of them stopped going to those Sunday churches. So their household was being destroyed. They was being woken up at mid hours of the night while they sleeping. Men coming in with pillowcases over their face with 2 holes in it, snatching the man up out of his bed, dragging him to the nearby tree, hanging him up, and sometimes set him on fire. Okay? This is all in this file, brothers and sisters. So you can realize who Esau really is today and get it right to understand how far you need to grow in wisdom, in knowledge, and understanding. Because he says here in this file, the principle involved remained the same. See that? The same issue will be revived in the coming conflict. It's right here. So Barack Obama knew about this. They told him about it. They told every president who therefore is with them in Masonry, they know about this. And this is why Kamala Harris, they want to hurry up and do this real fast. But even if Trump wins, they still going to create this through all the immigrants that they love in the world who are basically undercover Muslims and waiting for the soldier army to be raised up, that final bell to set it off, trying to take me out of here. That's what they're going to be saying. And here it is. It's going to bring persecution. Now a war among nations and nations. Now you're going to see it in the West, not just in the East. So this is why we are teaching. Get yourself prepared, brothers and sisters. If you don't have the means, you need to therefore make sure you get to the means to protecting yourselves. Because this war is basically, like we read in Matthew, it's going to be a heartless, because this Statue of Liberty ain't never, ever had a war in her borders ever like this, like World War II and World War III. So now just imagine setting a keg bomb in your lap that's ticking, about to go off. You're going to try to hurry up and get that thing out of your lap and get it somewhere where you can't blow up, right? But see, they know it's going to be too late. And this is why he said, in giving us the transcripts of what the Pope and everyone was talking about secretly with Barack Obama as well, and Joe Biden as well. Okay? So now here it is. He says, will be revealed in the coming conflict. So that is what I'm talking about. The one world government, the one world religion. Present appearance to the contrary, with notwithstanding. See, when this rise up, everybody, it ain't going to be nothing you can do about it. Why? Because everybody done allowed the presidency and every elective to gain so high up in power and giving the UN its right of power by not decentralizing it, but allowing it to grow. It now, here it is, will be so powerful that it will be able to make every woman and child and man, here it is, be put under the knife, under the guillotine. Why? Because you must sign the one world religion to show your alliance to the one world government. Okay? So then he says, these materials have been divided into three main areas. See that? That's what I'm trying to tell you. This is a transcript, the actual transcript, copy of that transcript, right? He states in the transcript area, the Sunday law, crisis of the late 1805, or not 1880, and early 1890s. General Council approaching the end. And then they got line 3, the last great struggle, the Sabbath Sunday issue. See this? Crucial factor, must see it in script 3 SM 382-1. And he put it here for us. Includes martyring or murdering. So here it is. When this comes out, then we just read in Matthew chapter 4, verse 9, then they will hand you over to persecution. Brother, sister, persecution means death. And they will kill you. So here it is, definition on top of definition. You will be hated by all nations. He didn't say some. He says all of the one world government nation. Because of what? My name. It wouldn't be Jesus, because he'll like you for that. It wouldn't be Lord, he'll like you for that. Wouldn't be God, because he'll like you for that in the one world government. So why would he persecute you? So it has to be something that you done found out that is righteous, that is set apart from that type of paganism, which would be returning unto your senses, right? By knowing that the old Esau spirit have been trying to get you, been trying to lead you astray into a world of all religions. Just to save your life, you will lose it, okay? Because I have proved in another video, even if you still say Jesus, and it's not from the heart of understanding that you know you are talking about the Almighty Father, then here it is, you wake up now to the second judgment, which is in the Bible, and you die again the second death. How about that? So now he says this includes being murdered and apostates who are in ranks, large accessions to the church. So many church members going to be persecuted. Because here it is, they will be saying, I cannot do that. I can't put Lord or Jesus with this religion. So here it is. That means they got a heart to knowing that they don't really heard the truth. And here they're dying on the terms of the Almighty Father, even though they said Jesus. But see, the outcome of that is later on, once they before the throne, which I will be there. My wife, who will be my sister, will be there, and many other brothers and sisters as well, waiting for those judgments of those to see exactly what was really truly in your heart at the time of persecution. As Matthew 24 verse 9 states, did you shake in your boots? Did you give in to taking or signing up just to save your life for a little while, for 42 months, thinking that you was going to get access to the kingdom of righteousness? Okay, because we've seen how that worked out with the rich man and Lazarus. Then he says in this document, and gives encouraging assurance of heaven's sustaining grace to Yahuwah's loyal people. See that? Judah will stand strong in this. Then it says, those who honor the Bible Sabbath, see that, will be denounced as enemies of the law and order. It's right here, brothers, in this document. And here it is. This has been already scripted since 2012. So people like, man, we love Barack Obama. Oh, you do. There's a lot you don't know. And I hope by finding this video will allow you to see he was in office. And when you do rewind your mind back to see that the Pope did, when he became Pope, came to New York and went to all of the cathedrals in New York. And then he started going abroad, different other countries. Didn't the Bible say the white horse would be going forth rampantly without no one to hold him back? Then in the document GC 5921, ministers who deny the obligation of the divine law will present from the pulpit the duties of yielding obedience to the civil authorities as ordained as Yahuwah in legislative halls and courts of justice. Commandment keepers will be misrepresented and condemned. It's telling you right here. This is the order that's coming. So here it is, my Father who's in me as I'm obedient to this teaching, starting in the book of teaching of Esau's, biological Esau and his descendants, of how wickedness and witchcraft have taken over. And here it is, many people today are still in their ways. When I say that, I mean in other religions, instead of saying you are IVI, intelligent voice Israelite, because that would mean that you have retained your common sense and you have removed blemishes by trusting your brother who have been sent unto you to give you the truth and information that you do not have. So now this is clearly a false coloring will be given to their word. As the Protestant churches reject the clear scriptural argument, they will long to silence those whose fate they cannot overthrow by the Bible, which will lead to the persecution of those who conscientiously refuse to do what the rest of the Christian world are doing and acknowledge the claims of the papacy Sabbath Sunday. See this? This is coming. Okay? We just read about it. Soon the election, when this election is over, I assure you, you will be getting it in the mail with the big seal on it. One world religion. Mandatory in red letters on the envelope. Okay? And here it is. Don't think you can just throw it away and say you didn't get it. Because like I told you earlier, in 11 days, they be knocking at your door to make sure they bring it to you to sign it. And if you got a job, they will be showing up at the job to make sure you sign it. And if not, then you'll be arrested on the spot. Okay? This is a law, everybody. This is what this cardinal released to a brethren for us to have, to release at a righteous time, to allow you to see the Pope is saying one world religion. Now, my phone, I think I have it here. Let me see. If my wife, Yisrael Yamaikai, would grab my phone, should be in the other hall. I want to show y'all this. I just love showing evidence because here it is. It crashes their system and wake up people faster. So she's going to get my phone. I want to show y'all exactly this because here it is. A lot of people don't understand the Pope is the white horse. And here it is. He's constantly lining up with this right here. Thank you. Clearly right here, if y'all can see that, I got too many shadows, but it says Pope explaining one world religion. Now you can find this on YouTube, and they know that we was releasing this, so they had someone to sit beside him to make sure they speak it in English. Pope explaining the one world religion. This is a picture of him sitting right now at the UN and therefore discussing this with the Africans and also many other nations, Spain and Asia and North Korea, all of these key players. And it's highlighted on YouTube. You can pull it up. All you have to do is say Pope explaining one world religion. And it'll bingo you right there. And you'll see the same picture with the same language. But here, back to the transcripts of this card for 2012. This is how far they've been planning, okay? So now clearly they will be killed for those ministers who deny the obligation from the pulpit, the duty of yielding obedience to the civil authority, which was Yahweh, in legislation halls and courts and justice of command keepers will be misrepresented and condemned. A false coloring will be given to their words. See that? Making them look like enemies against this one world religion and one world government. Then it continues. Script GC 592.1. As the Protestant church rejects the clear, they will long to silence those who faith they cannot overthrow by the Bible, which will lead to the persecution of those who refuse to do what the rest of the Christian or religionist world are doing and acknowledge the claims of the papacy worshiping Sunday, Sabbath. The dietarians of the church and state will unite to bribe, persuade, or compel all classes to honor the Sunday law. And this is what you will be seeing as you see the nations and nations build up. Many people be running to their pastor, and their pastor, who is a wolf, here it is, made himself look like a sheep, will therefore make sure you stay worshiping the Sunday law and tell you that you'll be okay. Just sign the paper, put it in the mail, and you're going to be fine. But not knowing you just signed away your life to not only the dragon, but to the beast system that is for the dragon. The lack of divine authority will be supplied by oppressive enactments. Political corruption is destroying love of justice and the regard for truth. And even in free America, did I tell you Statue of Liberty don't mean your liberty? It means masonry, liberty. Rulers and legislators in order to secure public favor, will yield a popular demand for a law enforcing Sunday to be an observance throughout the world. Liberty of conscience, which has cost so great a sacrifice, will no longer be respected. In the soon coming conflict, we shall see amplified prophet words. Doesn't that say you see brothers on the corner still using Lord, God, Jesus, and many other nicknames instead of Yahweh? Because they're working for the devil and Esau. Okay? The dragon was routed with the woman and went to make war with the remnants of her seed, which kept the commandments of Yahuwah. Then I say the two witnesses are Judah and the returning Israel, because Judah had to be raised up first to give y'all this complete truth, which is out of the 144,000, and those who are therefore out of Jacob, who are in all kind of religions. Okay, we're here for you, Yahuwah, and have the testimony of Yahweh, as it states in Revelations. Watch this. Go to Revelations, everyone, chapter 12, and look at verse 17. So this ain't made up. This is all research and spiritual divine help that you're getting here at IVI, brothers and sisters. No lie at all. Because here it is. We have the receipts. We have our proof. We know who we with. We know who we dying for. So here it is. Watch this in verse 12. Clearly. Revelations, verse 7. Then war broke out. See that? Michael and his angels battled against the dragon. Then we say the UN and the Catholic Church and Muslims tied together in unity. The dragon and his angels fought back. See that? The dragon and his angels fought back. So now you're going to see that there's a lot of brothers and sisters who will be first, which is us, your brother, Yisrael Yashambaya, my wife, Yisrael Yamaikaya, and our brothers and our sisters who are in California, Chicago, St. Louis, and also Phoenix. Okay? Now understand, we will be the resistors, but why? Because we all claim IVI, intelligent voices, Israelites. That means here it is. We will not put Yahweh with a one-word religion ever. Ever. We will not change the Sabbath day to Sunday, ever. Okay? We will not sign no papers, ever. Okay? So now this is why we tell brothers, come here to get yourself built up. Like the two houses, one on solid rock and the other one was on sand. So you can understand that Esau is not just the white man, but he's every man that is against the true righteousness of my father, your father, Israel. Here it is. Yahuwah, Yahweh. So now what we see, clearly, they're going to force this. Political corruption is destroying love of justice, the regard for truth, and even in free America, rulers and legislation in order to secure public favor. See that? They want to appease. Okay? Will yield to the popular demand for a law enforcing Sunday observance. Liberty of conscience, which has caused so great a sacrifice, will no longer be respected. In soon coming conflicts, we shall see amplified, here it is, false prophet words. The dragon, who will war against the woman and her children, ramming its seeds, which keeps the commandment of Yahuwah and have the testimony of Yahweh. Then now here it is, a transcript. The fact, no secret, Sunday law to be passed. Things are moving in darkness. This is what this cardinal said. By him there. This is why at that time many cardinals were stepping down and stepping out. Once they realized this is real stuff. The Bible revelations. And here it is. They are bearing witness. And the purpose of them thought they were following a real religion. Then he says, but this will openly votes. You see that? Right here. This will be openly votes. Now, don't you see the election right now coming live in your face? To see that here it is, this is what they're waiting on. This is the final hour. And here it is, will be openly votes on by popular vote, won by popular vote. A groundswell from the people of where? America, it says. See that? So America is going to walk in this beast. Everybody. Why? Because here it is, they haven't understood the spirit of Esau, the hatred, the unlove, and here it is, the Canaanite way that they live under all these different religions. So Yah says, in order to be saved, you must come out of her, right? Set yourself free. He says, the spirit of the French Revolution is brewing. Obama and his cabinet. Disharmony is in process. He says Obama and his whole cabinet, his whole administration, down to Hillary Clinton and all of them, Joe Biden, disharmony is in process. But a popular demand to keep Sunday will have arrived to seek, here it is, not after Yahuwah. Yahuwah have been officially removed from the Democrat site platform. Human rights are leaned towards the Republican side. You see that right now. Women's rights are also part of the platform. Homosexuality, as you see, brothers and sisters, all of this have been written way before your brother and I have released this. This is the actual file from McCartney. Okay? So now as we see, platforms of homosexuality is embodied. Democrat platform, Yahuwah is removed. See that? Democrat National Conference. See this? He giving an outline of when they were having meetings. Then he says, what brings on Sunday law? While appearing to the children of men as a great physician who can heal all their, here it is, sinful ways, he will bring disaster and disease until populous cities are reduced to ruin and desolation. Even now he is at work in the accidents of calamity by sea and by land. In great confederation, fires and furious tornadoes, and terrible, here it is, hailstones, and tempest floods, cyclones, tidal waves, and earthquakes. In every place, in every thousand forms, Satan is exercising his power. Remember, my father said, what have come down to you is only from what man has done. And he is therefore allowing his judgment to be judged through them to bring judgment on themselves. Wipe away large cities. Now in Montana, 19 fires burning currently. Remember I was telling y'all all this? Tornadoes happen more in 1 year than all of the history of U.S. 293 tornadoes, hailstorms falling out of the sky with no clouds, football-sized hail with no clouds. See, they're out there manipulating the masses, see, to make you more fearful and scared and force you into what they need you into. Future predictions, as this cardinal said. Because of the leaders yielding to the populist demand, he sweeps away the ripening harvest. The famine and distress follows. Drought by a half of the U.S. is proclaiming this food crunch. Spring by next year, which therefore, as we have seen, many ships cannot import or export, right? He imparts the air a deadly taint Thousands perished by the pestilence, chemical warfare, Venezuela, right? These visitations are to become more and more frequent and disastrous. Destruction will be upon both man and beast. The earth mourn and fade away, and the people do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the law. So now you see why we say don't be Christian, don't be Muslim, Mormon, Latter-day Saints, or any other thing, but return to your senses as an Israelite. Because here it is, Yahweh is the only one that saves. He's the Savior. So here it is. He's coming by those who truly accepted his name into their hearts, and therefore the true possession of his spirit have taken place. He's not coming for those who trying to steal their way into the kingdom or trick their way, because that won't happen. Because he clearly says the earth is also defiled under the inhabitants, because they have transgressed the law, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. And let's go to Isaiah, everybody. Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. And when we get to Isaiah 24, look at verse 4 and 5. The earth mourns and fades. The world languish. Languish, as we looked it up as a keyword, means to remove. And fades. Both heaven and earth languish. The earth is polluted because of its inhabitants. See that? Its inhabitants. Now you see why we talked and start with Esau, wisdom history, so you can see that there's many people still possessed by that old spirit. And here it is. It's by witchcraft that comes from the dragon in the false liberty. The earth is polluted because of its inhabitants, for they have transgressed the laws, violated statutes, broken the ancient covenant. See this? So now you understand in Isaiah 24, 4-5, and he puts this in the transcript, and then the great deceiver will persuade men that those who serve Yahuwah are causing this evil. See, they're going to turn on us. They say that here it is, it's because we want everybody in the world to worship this one world religion. But we got some traitors among us who haven't signed the alliance with the one world nation for prosperity and for security and peace. Okay, this is watch now. This understand this through the spirit of my father Yah. This is what it would sound like. And here it is. It would match up with Matthew 24, verse 9. And this is why I say they would even come and get most of you on your job if you haven't signed that paper, and therefore in 11 days they'll be at your door or be at your job. And then here it is. You don't even know that the laws done changed through executive order, that they got the right to arrest you. That's right. And we just read in the script, they would be misrepresented at that time. That means you're going to have what they say, a house lawyer, or be able to buy your own lawyer. You don't have those rights. Okay? And here it is clearly. After the national disaster, then persuaded men will change their troubles to those, or charge their troubles to those who are loyal to Yahweh's commandments. Then it says, as we read in Matthew, many will grow cold, love will grow cold, in verse 11, 10, 11, and 9 and 11. So here it is. We see now it is clear that what he had wrote here in the transcript in 2012, he says it will be declared that men are offending Yahuwah by the violation of the Sunday Sabbath. This sin has brought calamity, which will not cease until Sunday observance shall be strictly enforced. Destroying reverence for Sunday are trouble on people, preventing their restoration to divine favor and temporal prosperity. See that? Didn't I tell you it'd be a prosperity for peace and security? Your money, a cash in the U.S. Economy. So now here it is. All your assets will be frozen. Okay? Confiscated. Okay? So now here it is. This is what they talked about. This is what Barack Obama knows. This is what Joe Biden knows. Now why he's giving billions of dollars out. And this is why he's letting so many billions into the country. Immigration. Because we don't told you the CFR file that was also the Bush. So now here it is. It is truly the IBI is the missing puzzle piece that now you have found, because here it is. It is giving you vast information for a short amount of time. Today's broadcast for tomorrow's news. Okay. The perfect economic storm is brewing. A global economy is set to crash. No ballot. Here it is. No bailout. A 60 trillion debt. See, they want to reach 60 trillion. So I advise all of you to go look and see where we're at. A revolt civil war in America. See that? When people ain't got no money, you got people that's going to go out there and smash and grab. Have y'all seen that in many other states and cities? Young are going into the stores, taking what they want, filling it up, and leaving. And there is no one to stop them, right? So-called thinking. But understanding they got telescopes can point you out clearly where you at, see through your walls and see how many people in your house, eliminate everything that's breathing, down to the dog and the cat. Now, as we see, they're waiting on the no bailout of a 60 trillion debt, which will lead to economics, which started a revolt of a civil war in America. A civil war in America is inevitable. In India, China, Russia, cities of America, the men, because they have the power, control the market. This means starvation to the poor class and will result in a civil war. There will be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. Didn't the word of my father say that? And this cardinal is writing all this or saying all of this to the men and also the Pope and Barack at the same time, because all of this is transcripted. So here it is. He continues. He says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which stands for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time that is clearly upon us, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. See that? Watch this. Many shall be purified and made white. See this? That means Judah. And that means those who are listening, Israel, who are taking heed to what you are hearing at IVI today. Taking it seriously, because it ain't no joke. And if you want a copy of this file, you can email us. And we'll get it right to you in the PDF. And here it is. As we are looking, Google the Pope explaining one world religion on YouTube. Then in the transcript MS-144, it states in 305.4, but the wise shall understand. This is what that cardinal said. But the wise shall understand. Meaning, here it is. My father have left it an open door for all of you, right through IVI. And now for you to take and right through you as well. Because now you will have the facts to give to people, the receipt to show how the book of the Hebrew lines up to what is going on in the world and around it. Decisions in America are getting worse and worse. Labor and capital into revelations. A police state is coming and has come, as signed by Obama executive orders are being put into place through every administration. Every time a president comes in, even from the time of Obama, Obama just organized it better than the Bushes and then the Clintons. So now realize, America will appeal, here it is, for a Sunday law. Stages of the Sunday law: catastrophic national disasters, terrorist attacks, increasing food prices, gas increases. Don't you see all that happening right now, brothers and sisters? Don't you see many of our brothers and sisters struggling, who don't have a clue of what's going on, but really scared because they don't know what is going on? But hopefully you refer them to this video, this live stream. Let them sit down and listen and grab a book so they can follow, so they can put things together, and when they was dumb and now become smart again. Because this cardinal says, first Sunday law image of the beast was tested in 1984. Okay. Then William Casey, so write this name down, William Casey, C-A-S-E-Y, last name. And then it went on, passed it on to 1989 to Ronald Reagan. Since this time of 1989, they've been strategizing the plan of how to bring this up on humanity. And now they done got the screws and everything in, and now they tighten up the bolts. Then it went on to the army of Rome, and then again Islam. Didn't I tell you that? Islam working with Catholics. It was created by Catholics. Islam. And then we see Nebuchadnezzar's statue, right, in Rome. And then we see, he says, our church is aiding the statue building. So they wanted this thing built. Characters was displayed at the image of the beast. So now you know who the desolation is. Nebuchadnezzar is built and made it speak, and everyone who didn't bow to it was put to death. Read the books, brothers and sisters. This is lining up with your present day, and understanding that this is a file and a transcript that was being dictated 2012 when the Pope visited New York with Obama, ramping it around, driving around, going to every cathedral. Okay, and now here it is. Well, information you didn't know: they built a Nebuchadnezzar statue in Rome. So now realize, no one there stopped the building of that, knowing that that was a wicked time and era for the people of Israel. Okay. The characters of the people were demonstrated before the whole earth at the blowing of the trumpet, when all had to bow down. See, this is what's going to happen, brothers and sisters. One world religion. Signing that paper is bowing down, making your deity small and little to non-existence, because one power is going to be Islam and Catholics running this thing under one world religion. You got the first Jesuit Pope again. So now here it is. We know about Benedict, how evil he was, right? So now look at how far the Bushes and the Clintons have been also hoodwinking and bamboozling the people. You don't see these people until election time. They don't walk around in your community. They don't go to some of your children's school to shake their hands. No, you see these people when they come around for your vote. And here it is. We done pointed out with this cardinal. He has seen that Obama is a wicked man with wicked intentions. Okay. Stage of the Sunday law. The advantage thrown into confusion. The three angels will swell into a loud cry. Here it is. That means nations against nations. Stage 2. Religious leaders strictly to enforce Sabbath, Sunday. And here it is. They will request the murdering of certain people, and the imprisoning of certain people, and the starvation will occur with people, as it states in this transcript. Global war occurs for the first time. The gospel of the third angel has passed. Remember? In Revelations? Okay? So this is what he was saying in this meeting. Over the SDAs in the final movement of Daniel chapter 11. So everyone write down Daniel chapter 11 and read that whole chapter. It's going to speak of Edom and Moab and the Ammonites. And now it will allow you to see, he says, rapid movement in the blood will flow. Meaning here it is, what used to be all Caucasian, you will see now Esau is brown, dark, black, and white. These people will be at war, fighting on opposite sides. Opening the gospel will bring thousands, and Satan now comes to create a delusion. The appearance mimics the coming of Yahweh. So this cardinal said, what y'all are trying to do is make it look like the Messiah kingdom have come. That's wrong. We cannot do that. And he was silenced a little on that. Because see, what he was telling Barack Obama and the Pope and many of the leaders of those Catholic Church and of Islam is that y'all are trying to make a mimic of what is truly written, and therefore dilute the people's understanding to force them into a false worship. But then they came back and said, ain't they worshiping everything they want to worship now? So why wouldn't they have a problem with this? Only problem we're going to have is with those who are Judah and those who are returning Israel of the 1/3. They know how many going to be lost to them, which, as we done gave y'all the number, the whole new kingdom is only going to hold 2,844,000 of the 144,000, 12 tribes from each tribe, and the 1/3 out of the estimated amount of the earth, okay, which is in the billions. So now you can understand what this cardinal was saying. He said, this is Elijah Carmel experience. This is the battle of Armageddon. Satan will say he changed the Sabbath. Then stage 3, he says, death decrees Jacob. See that? Many of those who come out of the fire is basically Jacob, Israel, who says, Lord God, and Jesus said. Their hearts will be tested, because here it is. They're going to realize what your brother Yisrael Yeshambaya here at IBI, Intelligent Voices Israelite, have been here to bear witness through the same spirit that most should have, which is my Father Yahweh. Here it is. They will come out of their ignorance. Death decrees Jacob time of trouble. The people fled from the city. No more murders. The 144,000 are shown. Angels who excel in strength will protect the people. See this? This is why we have come. Judah. Plagues continue to fall from the 12 commandments appearance, and the small black cloud arise. Then he concludes, a huge difficulty is arising. As we remember, as he was saying of 9/11, we should have had a depression, but the merciful Yahuwah is saying, hold back the calamity until, see that? Majority cities will be shaken to the ground. This is what I put in the last video for Edom's modern day. Everything that's shaking is shaking because it has no truth in it, or they have partiality. They keep in all of these other words and religions. But those of us who are of Judah, we don't shake. We stand firm. Why? Because we know who we with, and we know what we have inside, right? So now this cardinal is explaining what is going to happen, not only in LA, but coming out of the South as well. Yahuwah is graciously giving us the oil to put this in our lamps to guide our feet in more sure word of prophecy. In this document transcript, he says, let's, Obama, look at Revelations. He says, this is in the script. He told Obama, let's look at Romans chapter 13. And this cardinal turned to Romans because he didn't like what he was hearing. No, y'all ain't plotting on the whole humanity to do this thing. Turn to chapter 13, verse 11. He says, and does this because you know the time. It is the hour now for you to awake from sleep. For our salvation is nearer now than we have first believed. See that? So it's clear why this cardinal told Obama to turn to Romans chapter 13, 11. And I'm quite sure Obama, wherever you are, here it is. And if you ever catch this stream, you will know exactly what I'm talking about because this is a transcript and it was written with y'all in the room. So here it is. This cardinal, here it is, Richard, revealed Romans 13, 11 in this meeting, specifically pointing to you, who's supposed to be a man of America and for America, but was a wolf and is, okay? And that knowing the time that now is high time to awake out of sleep, because this cardinal woke up fast. For now is our salvation near, then we, here it is, believe. I stood, here it is. This was written in Linda, California, April 16th. He puts this in the transcript, 1606. There passed before me a most wonderful representation. During a vision of the night, I stood on my embassy hill, which what I could see, houses shaking like a reed in the wind. Buildings, great and small, were falling to the ground. Pleasure resorts, theaters, hotels, and homes of the wealthy were shaken. See this? And shattered. Then I just state that. Many lives were blotted out of existence. This is what's going to happen to these brothers and sisters who stick with their religion. And the air was filled with the shrieks of the injured and the terrified. The destroying angel of Yahuwah, here it is, were at work. There was no assurance of safety in any place, as you can read in Revelations. The forbearance of Yahuwah, the judgment day had come. See this? And this was all in a matter of what he is releasing in this, this private council with the Pope, with Barack Obama and his administration, and many of the high leaders of Catholics. He's telling them about something that he never told no one, about a dream. And now he's realizing it have come true through Romans 13, verse 11. And then he says, then instructed me, but a few have any conception of this wickedness. So I hid this into now. And he says, into today, especially this wickedness in these large cities. He declared and showed me the Almighty has appointed a time when he will visit transgressors and wrath for persistence and disregard of his law. See, this is why we're trying to help you, brother. This is why we're trying to help you, sister. IBI is here not for money. We're here to save and count you. We're here to tell you the truth, to show you the righteous way, and to hear us point out the imposters by the word of my Father. Amen. So now here it is. He says he will visit transgressors and wrath for the persistent disregard of his law. Upon my mind was the instructions given. The angel that stood by my side declared that Yahuwah supreme rulership and sacrificialness of his law must be revealed to those who persistently refuse to render obedience to the King of Kings. So now he's saying this to Barak, and saying this to Pope Francis, and saying this to the head captains. Now that he really knows what's cracking, okay? Because here it is, he's seeing right now, man, people do not know this, that there's a plan on their lives by the men that they so-called trust from their America, okay? Then he says, those who chose to remain disloyal must be visited in mercy and with judgments, okay? Aroused to a realization of the sinfulness of their course. Didn't I tell you that, brothers and sisters? Even if they say in Jesus, they're going to wake up in front of the throne and see me and see Israel Yamaikaya, and going to see many brothers and sisters such as yourselves. And here it is, going to realize they on the other side of this judgment. Because here it is, they're going to realize that here it is, they're in front of the throne being judged because they didn't take heed to what brother or sister said, who is basically standing with Yahuwah, okay, and sitting on thrones. And then they're going to realize they made the bad choice, dying for nothing. Because here it is, they still died in Jesus, signed their name on that official document, mailed it back, and was in allegiance with the devil and the dragon, okay? And thought that they won and we lost. You see how this is going to work out? This cardinal wrote this in 2012, y'all. This is a transcript from the Vatican, okay? No playing around. Got everything down to the book number, to the book out, and everything. Who gave it to, and why he been removed and killed, assassinated. But Yah says, I'm going to save this for the last days. He didn't let me release this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. He made me sit on it. And now release it now with him. Okay? Then this cardinal says, the set apartness and binding claims of the 12 commandments. Right here. Not 10, 12. 12 commandments in the supremeness of Yahuwah above all earth and rulers. And then he says, of the Sabbath in Eden, of the law at Sinai, the Sabbath is to be observed for a perpetual covenant, a sign between Yahuwah and his Israelite people forever, that they may know that they are sanctified by Yahweh, not Lord Jesus, not Lord God, not Lord Allah, not Lord Muhammad, not Lord Mormon, not Lord any of that, okay? But by Yahweh, their creator. And then he got the transcript number Al 9T94.1. Then continued in transcript. Go to Zephaniah, y'all. Zephaniah. See, he was hitting Barak up and also speaking up to allow them to know that, man, I'm not with it. And as soon as I can get back to what we're getting back, I'm up out of here. But they killed the man. But he was able to get files out way before that. Right after they was finished and they was being docked down in the basement of the Vatican, he got copies, and here it is. He making sure he do the will of my Father. It got now to IVI, okay? I won't reveal the source. So I'm going to Zephaniah. I got a fan blowing. Let's see in this book. Zephaniah 10:27. So now when you get here, excuse me, everyone, and right now it's 8:10 Phoenix, Arizona time. Chapter 1 through 18. Let's get it. Now, as we see, the sons of Cushite, and here the Hezekiah, and the king of Judah, right? The son of Ammon, the king of Judah, Joash, in the days of Joash. So verse 2, I will completely sweep away all things from the face of the land. Now you can see where the cardinal got that when he was speaking to Barak in this private assembly with the Pope, Francis, and all of them, as I read it from the transcript. From the face of the land, I will sweep away human beings and beasts alike. I will sweep away the birds of the sky and the fish of the sea. I will make the wicked stumble. I will eliminate the people from the face of the land. I will stretch out my hand against Judah. See that? It says Israel. And against all the inhabitants of Jerusalem. I will eliminate from this place the last witches of Baal. See that? Baal, which is witchcraft, meaning referring to the dragon or devils. The name of the idol tree priest. See that? So this cardinal put this in the transcript. And those who bow down on the roofs to the host of heaven, and those who bow down to the Almighty by oath or swearing to, here it is, Melchi or Moab. Okay, Moloch. So it says Melkon. And verse 6, and those who have turned away from the Almighty Yahweh, and those who have not sought the Almighty Yahweh, who have not inquired of him. See, this is why I keep telling you, you cannot be in a Christian religion, any religion. You got to come back as a true Israelite, okay? Don't playing around, taking everything as sound doctrine when it is proven, okay? Because here it is, we didn't come to play around, and therefore we don't want to play around because we can't play around. We take everything our Father gives us seriously. So now here it is in verse 7. Silence in the presence of the Almighty Yahuwah, for near is the day of the Yahuwah. Yes, Yahuwah has prepared a sacrifice. He has consecrated his guests. Here it is. On the day of the Almighty sacrifice, I will punish the officials and the king's sons. See that? And all who dress in foreign apparel. See this? All these Arabs, foreign apparel. All these Muslims, all these Christians, okay? I will punish on that day all who leap over the threshold, who fill the houses of their masters with violence and deceit. Your house now is your body. People tattoo themselves, put piercings all in their eyes and ears and nose, okay, and their navel, okay? Verse 10, on that day, says the Almighty, I cry, a cry will be heard from the fish gate of the water from the second quarter, loud crashing from the hills. Well, O inhabitants of Moab. See that? Remember the inhabitants had sex with demon or demonic forces out of Cush, out of the Egyptians, Horus, okay, and Ra. So now realize, for all of the merchants are destroyed, all who weigh out silver done away with. See, many stores are not making profit because people don't have the money to go, right? Things are not being bought in vast amounts anymore. And now you realize in our archive video, when we now talk that anyone who is in religionist factors is also a merchant in the factor to her, who is what? Daughter Babylon, mystery Babylon, now revealed, America. Verse 10, at that time, I will search Jerusalem with a light. I will punish the people who settle like that in the wine of confusion, who says in their hearts, the Almighty will not do good, nor will he do harm. Their wealth shall be given to plunder, and their houses to devastations. They will build houses but dwell not in them. You see this? They will plant vineyards, but not drink the wine. Neither is the great day, near is the great day of the Almighty Yahweh, near and very swiftly coming. The sound of the day of the Almighty, piercing. There a warrior. See this? This is talking about Judah. They're a warrior. Because we don't come with God, Lord, and Jesus in nicknames. We come with Yahweh, or Yahuwah, or Abba Yah. So now here it is, a day of distress and anguish, a day of ruin and desolation, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of thick black clouds. That means war, right? And then a day of trumpets, blasts, and of battle cries against the fortress city, against the battle men. And then verse 17, I will hem the people in till they walk like a blind person, because they have sinned against the Almighty's law. And their blood should be poured out like a what? On the dust, like lambation, and their biles, and neither their silver nor their money or their gold will be able to save them. On that day, the Almighty's wrath, in his anger of judgment, of his passion, all of the earth will be consumed. See that? The sun is getting closer and closer. They're not telling you that. That's why it's getting even hot in places where it didn't get hot. Okay? They call it global warming. For he will make an end, yes, a sudden end of all who live on the earth. So now as you read that, this is what this cardinal had put in the transcripts. And this is what he told Barak. And this is what he uttered for those pages. Zephaniah 1 through 18, as I have given. And then he says, I will utterly consume all things, as he read it, off the land, says the Almighty. I will consume man and beast, as I have read. This is what he read. And when you go to this transcript, everybody, 9T953, the Vatican can go right downstairs and pull this file of this transcript, because here it is. They know it is real and it exists. And this is why they're coming forth now with a one world religion, as I have shown you the picture of the Pope himself talking about one world religion, to let you know that this ain't no game. And here it is. All strong and weak men and women will see this letter pop up in a mailbox. Soon this election, it comes into finishing. You will see exactly what happens out of trying to remove immigrants. Okay? Then he says, therefore their goods shall become a loss, and their houses a desolation. Because we're talking about a war within her, that she have never had a war like this kid go off in her lap like this. Okay? But not inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyard, but not drink thereof. The great day of the Almighty Yahweh is near. That day, a day of wrath. See, people in church, they say they can't wait for Jesus to come back, like it's some special moment or something. Okay? They don't know that's witchcraft. They don't know that's a day of wrath. Okay? And here it is. They're talking about the day of my Father, who therefore brings this wrath, who goes by Abba Yah, Yahuwah, Yahweh, as I am a prince of the household of Judah. Yasrael, Yashambayah, given to you, into me by my Father, this name, as well as my wife, Yasrael, Yamaka, Yah. So now you can see religion is leading you astray, thinking that you got hope of some peaceful moment, when it clearly says this is a day of wrath, a day of trouble, a day of distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, okay? A day of darkness and gloomness, a day of clouds of thick darkness, a day of trumpets, and an alarm against the fenced cities. See that? And against the high towers, and I will bring distress upon men. They shall walk like blind men. Didn't we just read that? Because they have sinned against the Almighty Yahweh. Their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as no more. Their silver, their money, their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of Yahweh wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by fire. And as we see this here, this is clearly what we read in Zephaniah chapter 1 and 2 through 18. And as this cardinal was stating this, that is what he left. And here it is in September 7, 2012, about the Sunday law being enforced upon humanity. And as you see, the Pope, a one-day religion, a one-world religion. You just can't make this up, brothers and sisters. This is actual fact. And here it is now asking you the question. And don't have you ask others the question. What are you going to do now about it? Since now that you know what is truly going on and what is truly coming. And here it is. You can see drunk liberty as Kamala Harris. We love Bionomics, right? She's just happy, drunk, because she know murdering is coming soon. And here it is. It's coming through the propositioning of, here it is, of this election with Trump. And here it is. He's not outwardly trying to destroy the world. He's trying to save it. But as I have told everyone in many videos, when I had both promotions of Kamala and Trump, neither one can stop this. Neither one. So here it is. It is a done deal. The end is upon not only the world, but upon humanity, period. Because it has went to turn itself off of the path of righteousness. And it have chosen to live by the lie of the Statue of the Liberty, of false liberty. Because here it is, in order to be grafted into that liberty, we prove you must be a Mason to have free will of liberty, right? Otherwise, you have harshness, denialness, stoppage from certain things, and so on and so on. And you will constantly see a man in your neighborhood selling you your food who don't live in your neighborhood. But you give him your money, and he takes the money away from your neighborhood. And then your neighborhood, when it runs out of resources, it turns on itself, okay? And this is called now ghetto, okay? And now thug, okay? Hoopla, okay? And many other names, bitch, hoe, okay? Prostitution, homosexual, gay, okay? This is what becomes your neighborhood because you have handed over your will, free will, that was given to you at birth from Yahuwah, and you have given it to the dragon who runs the UN and all of the populace of the world, of the countries, sanction anybody he wants, right? Because here it is talked about in Revelation. The dragon gains the whole world, except those small remnants of the 144,000 and the 1/3 that comes out of that 6 or 7 billion. Because by that time, they done heard the truth through IBI or through you, who here is, are basically brothers and sisters who are subscribed to this channel and take this information, there you go, and hand it over to brothers and sisters. These are going to be the ones that make it and escape it. And they won't be the ones like these cracked out, ruined up Christians and these ones who eat anything that you put before them, even if it ain't pork, crab, lobster, everything that's defiled. And here it is, they say Jesus is their most high. That been given to them by Romans and Islam, okay? Cat is out the bag. He scratched enough and now he's out, right? And here it is, it's running into you to give to your people, to your family, to your friends, to your co-workers, the actual truth, to know about this document. It was written and dictated in 2012. And when you go back, you might can pull up a video when the Pope came in 2012, September, day 7, okay, and went parading all around New York to every cathedral and meeting up with all the high members. And then they trickled that down from there to all the little churches like Creflo Dollar and many others, okay, TDJ, which now all been undisguised now, finding out more about them, right? You see all of that stuff out there online, right? So now here it is. Now you know that IVI, here it is truly for you, not against you, brother or sister. We're here to help you get stronger and become stronger. So I close with that today, and we will be tuning back in. I think that is on the 8th, and we got some things that's coming up. But this was a very, very main thing to do. Why? Because Yah wanted you to understand how close your end is, so you don't be caught off guard out there buying worthless things that doesn't matter. You're going to need this money for your child, for water, food, or whatever you can buy or muster up. Because when this thing goes down, when this election happens with Kamala Harris and Trump, you already know who the winner is. But here it is. Like I say, no one can save this judgment or remove it. It is now decreed because Yah has read everything that's supposed to be put out there. Because here it is, this video will go throughout the world. Please believe that. And here it is. If many don't come, that's fine. But if few do come, we thankful because that's what we're here for. We're here to grab the attention of those who want to know how to basically righteously save their lives. Okay? And here it is. This segment goes together with the segment that we did earlier about Edom's modern day history. Now you're seeing the old history of Esau, the biological son, here it is, who was with Jacob in the womb, and his descendants, who therefore with Balaam and Balak also conjured up witches and witchcraft, and the people carried that on all the way into the 3rd generation. So until next time, my brothers and sisters, we can be out of time, but never out of word. But keep your spirit strong and steady fast, because here it is. Father Yah is warning the world to wake up, be revived, save yourselves while you got the opportunity. Because if you die and think that you got salvation, it doesn't work that way. You need this helping on now. So that way you can debranch yourself away from religions and call yourself IVI, Intelligent Voices Israelite. I'm an Israelite. I'm an Israelite. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. And you can be light-skinned, bright-skinned, brown-skinned, black-skinned, okay? Because the gospel now will be in your heart. And then you now know what you're dying for. And now you understand Matthew 24, verse 9, lining up with everything we have said here today. So I leave my shalom unto you. Hope you all find the video of that Pope Francis giving his deliverance, and so you can see it for yourself. Shalom.